I'm gonna read that in a second. I'm gonna read that. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm still playing around with stuff right now. Where? Why did it move it all the way off of my? Hold on. 1 second. I need to move this. Hold on. Oh, this is what the fuck? Now this is centered the wrong way. Awesome. Awesome. Box. Bam. Bam. Where did this go? Oh, here it is. Oh, that's why I was like, why are you over here? You need to be here. I'm sorry, y'all. Just give me a few moments, cause I'm playing around with settings right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me give y'all some music while I do that. Do I have any do do do? Y'all can have move me from Ridge Racer Ride while I play around these settings. Give me once. Give me like a minute. Give me a minute. Let me see. Okay, there it is. I was like, where is my chat at? I have to reset it. I gotta reset you and make it a little higher. Yeah, like right around there. Boom. Okay. Okay. It's better. It's better. It's doable. It's doable. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna complain too much about it. I think it also has to do with the fact that it's very hot in here. So that's probably what has to do with the. You know what I'm saying? I am so sorry about that. But now we are here. And let me read these chats. There is no way to say this without it being weird. I am wet from my welding class. Man, dude, what do you mean? Hey, we back. He's going real, kinda. Well, what better thing to do than to play DS2 right now? I mean, I could think of at least 20 things better than, doing that. But it is what it is. Am I right or am I right? Only if it's Frigid Oscar Slickmeister. You got this kink about you, gang. You know what I'm saying? You got this thing about you, bro. You like pain, bro. And do your thing. But damn. Okay, so where is this now? Now why is this not showing up? If it's not one thing, it's another. Boom, 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 boom. I'll edit it in post. I'll edit it in post. I like a good time. What the hell are you talking about? All right. Sorry. I hate that my chat is a little like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little buggy. Let me move this up a little bit. Yeah, right around here. All right. Why now? What now? Where did that come from? Why are you lagging all of a sudden? Is because I moved this shit out of place? When I say I am wet, I mean I am wet from sweat. It gets hot. Telling me, bro. I don't know why it's doing this. Dark Souls 1, you have literally never done this in life. And you were just fine a second ago. And just say you're sweaty, gang. We gonna try to bear with it. You know what I'm saying? If it's not too unbearable, I'm gonna try. But I'm feeling it, and I'm like, what the heck is this frame rate? Let me try going window mode. I'm gonna try going window mode. I'm gonna turn the settings as low as I can get them. Because you have never done this in life. Literally in life. Nope, still the same thing. I don't understand. Try disconnecting your controller. I can try. I mean, I don't think it's gonna do anything, but we can try it. I don't understand. It was just fine, and now it's just not going the way it's supposed to be going. I don't get it. I don't understand you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. Yeah, I don't know. Verify your game files? Yeah, we might need to. Yeah, now I gotta close this out again. I don't know. I really don't know what it could be. Especially when it's like, it's been working perfectly fine this entire time, and then all of a sudden it's just not. Never once had this problem. After 70, 80 hours of this game, never had this problem. Let me try something. Do I have any tabs open? The only thing I have open is I even closed out Discord. The only thing I have open is Streamlabs. My Streamlabs hasn't updated or nothing like it. Let me see. They can't handle your character schnoz? No! No. Let me try this. Because this might work. This might work. Try streaming DS2 instead, it might help. No, I think it actually might be worse. You have to forgive DS1, it is a 15-year-old game. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. It's just like, why are you having issues now? And we were literally just about to get started. I mean, this really is the most broken run I've ever done, because what is your problem? Like, that's how I feel. Like, this is easily the most broken. This is the most broken stream, because I'm like, what is your problem? What the hell happened to you? I might need to, man, I don't want to have to do this, but I'm thinking I might know what it is. I'm thinking I might know what it is. I doubt it's DS1's problem. It's the only game so far that's been giving me, like, these issues today. Every other game has been chill for the most part. I think I might know what it is. And if it is what I think it is, then we're not streaming tonight. Because it's going to take too long. If it is what I think it is, this stream cannot continue tonight because it's going to take way too long to get it back to where it was. Okay, let's try this one last time. If you J3 gang, I'm gonna need you to lock in for me. Live and learn. Did you finish the lore video in the first stream? No. I was gonna wait and do that after. What? You know what? I'm not gonna complain. We're just gonna move on. What do you think it is? I recently updated my drivers on my graphics card, and now it's lagging again. Okay, yeah, I recently updated my drivers on my graphics card, and now all of a sudden this game is having issues. Feel what I'm saying? Did you start the build yet? Barely. We barely got anything started, like barely. Classic NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, that's what I'm like. I think it's legitimately like these NVIDIA drivers. I don't know, bro. I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't need that. Okay, here's what I'll do. We're gonna spend this stream grinding the weapon. I know it's gonna be a short one. It's gonna be, oh my god, no way. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're gonna spend this stream grinding the weapon out. Oh my gosh, did I say 2? And once I get the weapon, I'm gonna have to end because there's just no way. Try loading another save file. See if that's the same problem. You think it might be the same? Try getting the fire link to see if it keeps lagging. Yeah, that's what I think. I think we'll get the weapon. We'll go all the way to Firelink, and I'm gonna have to end. And I'm probably going to have to re-roll back to my original drivers that I had last week. Because that last week when we were streaming Dark Souls 2, y'all didn't see any problems with that. And those were all my old drivers. I updated my drivers like 2 days ago. And now all of a sudden, this is having issues. So I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. I think I have to re-roll back to my old drivers. That took forever, and he did not drop it. We are gonna be here for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. I think it might be an area loading problem. Your CPU might be too old for the new drivers. I'm not that smart. It could be that too. Then maybe my processor is having issues with the drivers themselves. It's possible. Yeah, that broken sword build. Yeah, it's broken indeed. Oh hell no. Yeah, we're gonna have to go back to our old drivers. There's no way. Like I said, we're gonna grind this weapon, the broken straight sword, and I am ending stream effective immediately. And then we're gonna have to come back tomorrow because this is gonna take too long to do all that. I don't feel like doing that right now. I mean, if the game doesn't fix itself, we can still finish the video regardless.
Regrettably,
that is true. We can do that. So we can get the weapon, and then we'll finish the video. We'll do that. We'll do that. Kinda sucks, but you know, should have done dagger. I don't know if I want to do that because that kind of... It would be faster. It would be faster. It would be faster. It technically would be faster. Just use it to grind out the weapon and then to go to, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do the dagger to grind out this fucking weapon and go from there. Yeah. Oscar, no! You can lure the Harlots to the ladder and push them down. Yeah, I'm just gonna use this weapon. Give me broken straight sword. Fuck. Yeah, we're gonna be here for a minute. Y'all lock in. Y'all get cozy. We gonna be here for at least like an hour because of the video afterwards. Where'd I come from? Came from here. Let me go to the other bonfire, actually. Come here, gang. I need a broken straight sword, and somebody is going to give it to me, damn it. There's a few more through the door. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, let me go back up. There's like 3 up there, actually. Well, hopefully you guys' day was good. Kind of annoying that this is the predicament that we're in, but here we are. At least we're here together, suffering together. I love that for us. This is not the suffering that I thought we'd be going through, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Realistically, you should get it somewhat soon. Yeah, hopefully. Like, please. Drop it for me, please. Pause. Pause. Don't care about it. I need my broken straight, so I don't care about you. I don't care. I don't care. Give me the damn straight sword. Wait. Damn it. It was great. I'm glad to hear it. I forgot y'all drank juicies. No drop. It's locked. Fuck. Well, back to the bonfire. Oh my gosh. Like, it doesn't look like horrendous, but there are like frame drops everywhere, and I hate the way it feels. So I need to light. Yes, sir. Give it to me. Give it to me. That's literally how I feel. I'm like, brother, give me my shit, bro. Give me my shit. You know, when I titled this stream "The Most Broken Dark Souls 1 Build," this is not exactly what I meant or had in mind. But you know what, God? I see what you're saying. Expect the the unexpected. Broken straight sword. Give it to me, please. Come here. Come here. Come here, you fuck. Let me stop cursing. I gotta get it together. The bad habit. Drop, drop, no. Ow. Is this soldier in here? Does he drop it too? Because if not, I'm just gonna avoid him. Whenever you move, it seems to lag. That's what I'm saying. That's a. Anytime there's like movement, there's lag, and I'm like, that's how I know there's a problem. Because literally, this has never happened before playing this game, ever. Damn it. Hey, we're gonna be here for a minute. Oh, he doesn't drop it. Okay, bet. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. And they playing my jams too. I don't want to be jamming on 24 frames per second while I'm grinding this broken straight sword. Why can't you do like Dark Souls 3, huh? After Eudex Gundyr, it was just on a rock. And I would imagine in Dark Souls 2 it's probably not that egregious either. Why do I gotta grind for you? Why is it a 2% drop? Why is it not 20? It should be 20. It should be 20. Yeah. You hyper armor? You hyper armor on your jumps? That's fire. You can find a broken straight sword in Dark Souls by farming infantry hollows and undead burger hollows in the painted world of Aramis. You can get them here too. They drop it here. Ow. Ow. Come here. 2% drop. DS2, they are all over the first two areas. They're all over the place. I probably picked it up in my first run. My day has been crap. Hope it's better for the rest of you guys. Mine's has been too. And that's why I was hoping, you know, for you guys it's better. Not even gonna lie. My day has been pretty shitty. And I was hoping we'd get on stream and have a great time for a few hours, but I guess not. I guess not. Maybe about two-handed weapon. Maybe they'll drop it. This is a theory I'm working on. Nothing. Damn it. Let me see. I bet that DS3 lore is going to cheer us up. It's definitely not going to be mega depressing. I would imagine it's going to be a little depressing. It's the end of the age of Dark Souls, bro. It's the last one. Literally ends with a final battle against Gale at the end of the world. It's got to be depressing. It's going to be depressing. I'm already knowing. I'm already know it's going to be a little depressing. One drop. One drop. One drop. One drop. One drop. One drop. No. 2% drop. 2% drop. I saw it on the wiki. And I was looking at Broken Straight Sword. Said it was a wiki, and then I went to a Reddit post, and they both said the same thing. That is, the Undead Burg, the Northern Asylum ones, as well as the Torch ones, can drop them too. And then obviously the Painted World of Aramis. Oh. Might be BS, just saying the wiki has lies. But it should work. Hopefully it does. Because if not, then we are gonna go ahead and just start that lore video as soon as possible. Because then that would theoretically mean that it's way farther out to get the one Broken Straight Sword. And that's going to be even more difficult to do a run around it. Actually, not way farther out, because the Undead Burg is like right there. So we'd have to pretty much... I would just, honestly... I would allow myself to use the dagger just to farm the weapon until we get it. I just want to repeating the same part over and over again. We're trying to get a drop. We're trying to get a drop. So our backlogs did this run and got it here. Really? See? That's why I'm like... They gotta have it here, bro. See? Got it. Oh my gosh, enough. Okay, bam. So we got the Broken Straight Sword. Awesome. Bam. Now. Awesome. Great. Excellent. Now, the second part of this run is killing the Asylum team. We're gonna go straight to the Firelink Shrine and we are done, bro. Unfortunate. I wish we were playing Dark Souls a little longer than like what? 24 minutes, but it is what it is. I don't give a shit. 6 damage. Beautiful 6 damage. Beautiful. Let me try two-handing it. I didn't mean to kick. Don't kick. Don't kick. Triple J. Don't kick. You got it. Lock in, gang. Gang, you're dying. I was confidently wrong, and I'm proud of it. Yo, I legitimately started questioning what I read. I was like, was this like, what do they call it? I think it's called like the Mandela effect, where you feel like you've seen something before or experienced something before, and it actually was not real at all. I feel like that's what it is. Cause I legit was just like, bro, did I actually read that right, or did I not? I don't know. I feel like I'm having deja vu. Did I have a dream about this run? Did I dream about this run? Did he jump up? I think he jumped up. Don't tell me he jumped up. I think he did. Turns out it was just me gaslighting y'all. It's not your fault. 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 I don't think he's down there. I think he's actually up here. Let's do it. I don't give a shit. Oh, he's not. He's still waiting for me. 120 damage. Beautiful 120 damage. Let's get it. That was stupid of me. I was foolish. Oh wait, I'm dumb. I forgot. Don't lock on. I'm so used to locking on now because of Dark Souls 2. Do not lock on in this game. It is awful. The frames. The frames. I apologize in advance. Y'all bear with it. Just bear with it a little longer. We gonna watch some. We gonna watch some lore. Let me try. What's one hand look like? 6? Yeah, 2 hand that mug. Get out of there. His damage is amazing. Like, truly. Absolutely outstanding. Beautiful damage. It could be way worse. I'm bearing with it. Bit by bit. I'll take my little 20. I'll take it. I'll take my 20 damage. I don't mind. It's not bad. I've dealt with worse. 14. Let's do the 20. Let's do the 20, huh? You don't get no value from that 14. Fuck it, charged. 2 R1s. Back up a little bit. It's gonna try to swat us away. The AI is just like, are you gonna kill me or what? He get confused though. He's like, are you gonna do it? There you go. Come on. Out of stamina. Let me not do stupid things because we're gonna be here for another hour. Why did you do that? That was so rude. No way. The splash damage. Do the one move. He's doing every other move in his repertoire. Thank you. Be kind, bro. Kindness is what paves the way for success. And your death is successful for me. Appreciate you. Alright, first boss down. First boss down. Let's go. I went the wrong way. Actually, no. Sit down. Now that you know a bit about the lore, you can theorize why a demon is guarding the undead asylum. Wait, why? Remind me. So why specifically the asylum? Well, then again, the demons were made because of the what is it, the witch from Izalith? Alrighty. Firelink Shrine. Yee! We are here. I'm just curious what you think the reason could be. I haven't given much thought. Yeah, it still feels like crap. So, I'm gonna sit down here, and we are gonna quit out the game for now. I know. You're gonna quit out the game right now. Yes, I am, because this shit feels like absolute ass on my fingertips. Pause. And I hate it. I know. But my drivers are literally like having a heart attack, and I'm like, I'm not gonna deal with this. Could I fix this now? Probably not. No, if I try to update my drivers, this stream will literally crash. I almost want to turn this off though. I feel like, nah. Made a lot of progress this stream. Curse you drive, literally. I know. I wanted to pick it up as much as y'all, man. But for me to have to like update my drivers, this is just gonna take 30 minutes. At that point, I'm like, if I'm gonna do that, I might as well just go to bed and try again tomorrow. The real question is if the YouTube... See, and that's the thing. That's what I was scared of. I was like, is this YouTube video gonna lag? I don't know. Because if it starts lagging, we are just... Here's what we're gonna do. If the YouTube video lags, we are gonna come back tomorrow and redo this whole thing. Not me grinding for the weapon, but we're gonna start from the Fire Lystron, obviously with the weapon. We're gonna start the run properly, right? And then afterwards we'll finish the video. But that's only if it lags right now. And I'll find out. I forget that when my music's playing on my music player, legitimately is playing over music in this scene. I gotta stop doing that. Because I don't want y'all to get overstimulated. Let's see. Let's see. Moment of truth. The video lags, I don't think it'll be that huge of a deal, but it's up to you. If it lags, it'll be a big deal for me. Because I hate lag. I hate frame drops. I hate all of it. I do. I hate it all. I hate it all. Not a fan. So when it happens, I'm like, can you just stop doing that, please? Let me see.
A perfect game due to the way it bookends the entire series, but the only reason that I can say that is because of how much this game is being held up by its predecessors. Dark Souls 3 on its own is still a good game, but without all the effort put into the story from Dark Souls 1 and
I think we're good.
2, its narrative wouldn't be as impactful. That's the beauty of the Dark Souls trilogy. It's one of the few series out there that truly feels like a tightly knit game. Many games get sequels, but not many truly feel like a proper sequel. Just a game set in the same universe a year or so after the previous game.
You said you were going to upgrade your PC. What were you planning on upgrading? It's going to be the processor. And after doing some research a few weeks ago, it would be the motherboard as well, because the motherboard is a little old too. So pretty much it would be me doing a lot of overhauling on the entire system for the most part, so that it can actually run some shit and not fucking lag to death.
A callback to the past game, but not enough to feel like what occurred in that game was important.
Yeah, so stop
the Dark Souls trilogy and its repetitive ideas make the games feel properly connected. The Age of Fire, the Undead Curse, Hollowing, and so much more have been a prominent part of the series since its inception, which is why judging these games individually based on their stories is so difficult, as each of these games relies on each other to actually make their story have an impact. Dark Souls 2 and 3 could not exist without Dark Souls 1, and not just because of its world building and important characters, but because it's the game that showed us what the Age of Fire is and why it's important. We then took
my torso hurting.
This information into Dark Souls 2, which showed us how the Age of Fire is not all it's cooped up to be, and how as all the years go by, people are starting to embrace the fire less and less. This all comes to an end at Dark Souls 3, a game that is purely focused on the Age of Dark and why the First Flame needs to go.
He said I would not go up to AM5 with RAM prices right now. I'd say to go for another AM4 motherboard. I would say the same thing, because prices for PC parts, brother, is... Like, processors are still decent. They're like priced around the same that they've been for years, but RAM sticks fluctuate, GPUs fluctuate, which is I'm glad I got a good GPU. And then the motherboards, I haven't done too much research on the motherboard prices, but I have heard that they have been swimming up in prices, up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's just like you got to get it at the right time.
Each one of these games provides a crucial step in our journey, and without even one of them, every other game loses its meaning. We already talked about the previous two games and what they attempt to show to the player, and all these themes, ideas, and plots all converge towards Dark Souls 3, creating one of the best endings in a series I've ever seen. And today, I will explain why. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So, ironically, for a game that's going to be about the Age of Darkness and how much death and decay the current age has caused, it starts off with an incredibly intense soundtrack. It's not even been 10 seconds, and this electrified feeling of exhilaration seeps into your body. Dark Souls is back, and it's time to kick some ass. This feeling continues right into the intro cinematic, and Dark Souls 3 wastes zero time getting into the story. This is the first time in the trilogy where the game outright tells you who the main bosses are, which are the Abyss Watchers, Aldred Saint of the Deep, and Yorm the Giant. There is also a fourth that isn't mentioned, but we'll discuss them a bit later. Just like before, it's 4 beings who will need to be dealt with in order to succeed, but instead of them being the 4 Lord Soul users or the 4 Great Ones, it's the 4 Lords of Cinder. The question is, why are they so important? Well, oddly enough, the game tells you, but the pure spectacle of the intro is so hypnotizing you might not even realize what was just said. According to the opening narration, the bells only toll when threatened. The reason they're being threatened is because the fire is fading again, but furthermore, it's because someone doesn't want to link the flame, that person being Prince Lothric.
Yep.
Since the prince doesn't want to link the flame, the Bells of Awakening revived previous Lords of Cinder from past kingdoms. Each of these aforementioned beings I mentioned earlier were people who linked the flame in their lifetimes. The bells assume that if they've linked it already, then they'll do it again, but they all refused. The Abyss Watchers, Aldrich, and Yorm don't want to. In a last-ditch effort to make sure the fire is lit,
they all said no. I thought, okay, so I knew the twin princes said no. That's the whole reason why you fight them. I don't know. All of them were just like, nah, we ain't doing that. I don't even know why you brought us back to life. We're not doing it. By the way, if you hate Seath, you're gonna hate Aldrich. I already do. You don't understand. Before I even knew this disgusting, annoying behind boss's lore, I already hate this boss with a passion. I hate Aldrich. Every fiber of my being hates Aldrich. I hate that boss. Hate it. The two bosses that I hate the most in Dark Souls 3 is Crystal Sage and fucking Aldrich.
linked, the Bells of Awakening have awoken other beings who are unkindled. People who have failed to link the fire in the past but are now given a second chance, and we are one such person known as the Ashen One.
Failed?
Our job is to defeat the Lords of Cinder and take their ashes to their thrones, as if they won't come back willingly, then their ashes will serve as a substitute.
I'm gonna hate him even more.
This is the plot of the game. No small objective in between, like finding Vendrick or ringing the bells. Right away from the get-go, we're tasked with killing these beings and linking the flame. Assuming you've played the previous games already, then you've heard this story twice before and already know what you're getting into, which is why our first boss isn't even 5 minutes into the game. In Dark Souls 1, it took around the same time to fight the Asylum Demon, but the game also taught us about our inventory and weaponry, but also showed us that we can converse with NPCs and used an Estus Flask. Dark Souls 2 took a bit longer with this, as the first boss wasn't for a couple hours and the basic tutorial can
First boss wasn't for a couple. I'm sure, but
take a bit of time to run through. In Dark Souls 3, we start with the Estus Flask, get all our gear, and start our journey immediately. There is no hand-holding here, as the game assumes you've done this all before and don't need much of a refresher. The reason why they put Eudix in here is because he's supposed to test our strength. Not just the Ashen One's strength, but ours, since Dark Souls 3 underwent some drastic changes in regards to its combat. And for those who have noticed, yes, I'm using an axe again. It wasn't until starting this game that I realized I had used an axe for all three of them, so I figured it'd be quite comical if I beat the entire trilogy with the same weapon. Before killing Eudix though, we'll see him become engulfed in this black form. This is called the Pus of Man. This is a unique disease that is taking over the kingdom, and it originates from the Abyss. Similar to how Manus' humanity went wild, causing him to become the ferocious beast that we know in-game, it's possible that this is happening to other Hollows, but on a much grander scale, as this won't be the last time we see this Pus of Man in the game. After Eudix, we can take the coiled sword from his body and use it to create the bonfire at the new Firelink Shrine. I absolutely love the design of Firelink Shrine. From the moment you walk in and see all the thrones lined up around the bonfire, you feel a sense of comfort. It's definitely my favorite across the entire series, but I loathe its location. Firelink Shrine feels so disconnected from the rest of the world.
Same, I don't like it. I don't like how disconnected it feels.
It at least became a nexus for all the various paths that the player could traverse to. The cherry on top here is that we can't even travel to the first location. We're forced to teleport to it. It just further shuts this.
Talking to your girl, man? No, he's not. No, he's not. You see. Let me explain the arrangement, bro. Let me explain the arrangement, the agreement that me and Firekeeper got. She got a job to do. She just clocking in. Her job is to tend to the lords that come before, or the conditional lords, the ones that want to try to become a new Lord of Cinder or whatnot. But she comes on to me every single time. We just happen to work in the same place, but y'all don't see what happens after. Whenever I hit the stream ending button and it says thanks for watching, do y'all see what happens afterwards? No, you just hear the music. That's all you need to hear. She's a very shy and bashful person. You don't understand.
Place away from the rest of the kingdom. There's no incentive to explore the other areas of the level, as we've already seen everything it has. I never understood why the series slowly moved towards this idea, but it seemed to be a massive hit amongst the team, as this would.
Quaylag also had a job helping her sister, but she just got dumped. She didn't get dumped. Right now we're taking a break because she, like I said, she called me ashy, and she said it aggressively. Like, she looked at me dead in my soul and said, "You ain't nothing but an ashy boy." See that stuff like that? No, we gotta take breaks, months, time away, bro. I don't know. I know what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? The Great Witch of Izalith tried to do right by humanity. The flame went crazy. and you got turned into a spider lady. I understand that, but I came to you open arms. I don't discriminate. Whoever you decide to be, as long as we are here to a degree, I'm gonna care for you. But if you gonna call me out my name like that, tisk tisk tisk, you should be doing that to Quaalag.
Be used in other games going forward. From a pure gameplay perspective, the Firelink Shrine of Dark Souls 3 also reverts the changes in Dark Souls 2 to keep things more simplistic. Andre is back and will handle anything regarding our weapons, from upgrades to infusions.
Big
and the
Andre
Shrine
in the building.
Handmaid becomes our all-encompassing merchant, so no more clutter like in Dark Souls 2. We also have our new level up lady, who is just the Firekeeper. She doesn't have any unique backstory like the Emerald Herald, but her condition does spark a few questions.
See, that's how. See, and that's how you see that. You heard that description right there. That's how I know. Between them, she's clocked in. She ain't got no backstory. Yeah, okay.
It seems that all the Firekeepers
That's what she told you.
have some sort of condition that afflicts them. Anastasia, the lady under Firelink Shrine, will initially be mute and cannot be spoken to. The Dark Moon Nidus in On Orlando has a disfigured appearance, which is why she hides it from us with her armor, and this Firekeeper is blind. This has always been fascinating to me, as
She's blind.
I've never been able to fully understand why this is the case. It's possible that this is a sort of rite of passage, and the Firekeepers are showing their willingness to the flame by giving up something, but what they lose seems to differ across the games. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, but there's also an NPC in the game we'll meet called Irina who tries to be a Firekeeper and is also blind. Firekeepers being blind only occurs in Dark Souls 3, so I've always wondered why blindness is occurring now instead of across the series. It's something we never get an answer to, but definitely a fascinating topic to discuss. Speaking of the characters in Firelink Shrine, I want to talk about the NPCs though before we embark on our journey.
Blind in the streets, wild in the sheets. Yeah, she'd be mad at me if I told you even one story.
Third time's the charm, as they say, since the NPCs of this game
Can't
are
do
handled
that
way better than in
Can't
the
do it,
previous
brother.
two titles. My
Can't
issue
do
with
it.
each game is that Dark Souls
Can't do
1
it.
kept replaying the same fate of Hollowing across all of its characters, which started losing its value very quickly, and Dark Souls 2 seemed to just make characters for their rewards rather than their stories. But Dark Souls 3 seems to fix this issue. The quantity of the NPCs has been drastically reduced, as there are only around 27 or so in the main game. There's also very little overlap in the merchants, as each school of magic has one designated NPC with the exception of Pyromancy. And while Greirat does have a pretty useless inventory for the most part, since he's a thief you can actually send him to find gear, which will increase his options. This was so much better, as I didn't have to run around the base finding the one merchant who sells the item I need. Furthermore, the actual quests of the NPCs were much more enjoyable this time around. There was 5 standout characters for Dark Souls 3. But one interesting change with this game though is that the NPCs connect with the main content. Both Sigurd and Henri have a connection with a specific Lord of Cinder, and Yuri
Said it's close to see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. You're goddamn right about it. Forgive me, Lord. You're damn right about it. You're absolutely, forgive me, Lord. You're right. You are absolutely correct, man, dude. Yes, sir.
Yuri's questline ends up becoming one of the endings of the game. I really liked this idea, as so far the NPCs have been separate from the main bosses, so it was nice to see it all intertwine with one another. It'll be a lot easier to explain what their questlines are alongside the main content, so we'll hold off on this for now. Which means the only other two that we have to talk about that have a more traditional questline are Irina and Cirrus. As we talked about before, Irina is blind, and this is because she came from her land of Karim to become a Firekeeper. You might recognize the name Karim, as Oswald the Trek and the Marvelous Chester from Dark Souls 1 are all from Karim. The reason we find Irina here in this cell is because she's failed and hasn't become a Firekeeper yet. Due to this failure, she believed that she was unfit to tend the flames and fell into a deep depression. The knight guarding her is Aegon of Karim and has a sworn duty to protect her no matter her state of being. To progress her questline, we need to buy her spells. If we buy her miracles, then we'll be able to give her the enlightenment she needed and will eventually become a Firekeeper at Firelink Shrine. Gameplay-wise, she's pretty useless in this state, as not only is there already a Firekeeper, but she's also hundreds of feet away from the player as opposed to the actual Firekeeper who is right next to you. If we, however, only buy her dark miracles, we further progress the ferocity of the humanity within inside of her, causing her to be consumed by its dark power. This turns Aegon hostile, who will fight you for betraying her. She will eventually start to become worried and asks us to touch her again so that she can tell who is nearby, but eventually she will not recognize our touch and asks to be killed. It's a genuinely sad outcome, and this emotion is heightened further because we're the ones that caused it. Had we instead just kept purchasing her regular miracles, we could have saved her from her impending fate. It's a questline of two extremes, one where she gets everything she wants, and one where she loses everything, and it all depends on you.
And I like that. I do. I do. I wished it was just a bit more for her good ending, because all you do is just buy her stuff and then she's a Firekeeper. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, bam. Give her 2 books, buy them all, she's a Firekeeper. but the dark one has a lot more depth to it. You know what I'm saying? And there just could have been a little bit more there instead of her just kind of becoming another Firekeeper and you just never going to her, because why would you ever go over there? Why would you ever go to that tower? There's literally no reason to, you know? So maybe that's just me.
As for Sira, she starts out as some random person who appears at Firelink Shrine.
Yeah, I never progressed her
Sira
quest.
seems to
I have
be a
no idea
Dark
who this
Moon
person
blade
is.
since she uses the Dark Moon Blade spell, which can only be acquired by those a part of the Covenant. But Yorshka, the leader of said Covenant, states that we'll be the only knight in the group if we join. Furthermore, Sira says that she is a former servant of the divinity, which may imply that she was a Dark Moon blade but left some time later. As for why she left, it seems to be related to the two people we fight against throughout her questline, who are Kraton and Hodrick. Kraton is the same one from Dark Souls 2, although this does not imply that he was the canon winner between him and Pate, as this was probably thousands of years ago, and I'm assuming that Kraton is also unkindled, as he most likely was revived alongside us. Sira says that Kraton was a part of the Rosaria's Fingers, a rival covenant and one that she despises, and Hodrick seems to be her grandfather. The reason we know this is because she calls out to him before the fight, and when defeated she says that she's pleased that her granddad can rest in peace. Hodrick seems to have gone mad at some point, and Sirius wanted to put him out of his misery. She has a short but sweet questline, and the family connection to Hodrick was quite the shock. The question still remains though, what is the Sunless Realms, because her full name is Sirris of the Sunless Realms. It's nice to speculate about it, but there isn't much information to go off of, and this is a running trend throughout the series and personally something I'm not a fan of. There are so many locations in the game that we learn about, like Astora, Karim, Katarina, Mira, Alkin, Ven, and so many more, but there's no in-depth lore about them. Hell, most of them don't even give us a surface level idea of what they're about. This is not a Dark Souls 3 issue and more of a series issue, as the devs have been given 3 chances to develop some of these places, and From Software has just refused to do so. Many people, including myself, have tried to speculate on more details regarding these kingdoms, but there's so little to go off of that it's not even worth it. Their inclusion in the game was probably because the team wanted to add a bit of flavor to the world to not only show that the main kingdom isn't the only kingdom in the Dark Souls universe, but also that people from all over are flocking to this kingdom in search of something important. It just feels like a wasted opportunity to
they have main areas that they like expound upon, but I wanted to know more about the land that somebody like Lucatil came from, you know, and you literally get no information. You just know that they're from there. Jesus never understood. I've never understood the whole wanting more lore about different locations mentioned. Why not? I want to know. I'd love to see what these lands at least look like, because there's a lot of interesting characters that come from them, but you just don't have really a whole lot of information on those places. Unless they're like in the base game.
Places after 3 whole games. As a whole, Dark Souls 3 has some great quest lines, and I would go as far to say that it's the most polished out of the entire series. Dark Souls 3 recognized what was wrong with the previous 2 entries and made sure not to repeat those same mistakes again. With the NPCs done, we can now resume our objective, which as a reminder is to defeat the Lords of Cinder and use their ashes as kindling so that we may travel to the kiln of the First Flame and relink the fire. To do this though, we actually need 5 Lords of Cinder. The Abyss Watchers, Yorm, Prince Lothric, Aldrich, and Ludlith. The reason I said 4 earlier is because Ludlith is actually the only one who complies with the rules, as he's already at Firelink Shrine when we arrive. Ludlith's throne...
Ludlith ain't really got a whole lot of options. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Yorm, Abyss Watchers, you feel me, Aldrich, and... who am I missing? The Twin Princes. They got options. Came back from the dead and everything, and they got options. If you take a look at my boy, in the state he's in, what else is he gonna do?
That he was exiled from his homeland. The reason why he was exiled was because of his art of transposition. For gameplay purposes, this allows us to take the boss souls and make weapons out of them just like the past games. Cool. What's odd though is that when he dies, he drops the skull ring, which talks about it being called the Soul Feeder and how it was this insatiable beast that hungered for souls. Due to the ambiguity of his past, it's led to many theories such as Ludlith being a soul feeder himself but was at one point defeated, which is why he has no legs and possibly can't fit on his throne. It is also entirely possible that Ludlith is just someone who wants to do the right thing and has no ill intentions, but the skull ring definitely leaves a...
Yeah, sitting on your ass without no legs for who knows how long, you're gonna want to do the right thing.
lot up to the imagination. To get to the other 4 lords, we'll need to use the bonfire at Firelink Shrine, which will take us to the High Wall of Lothric, and it is absolutely stunning. You're immediately greeted with an entire view of the castle, and it's a breathtaking view, but it's also an illusion. The kingdom of Lothric is riddled with corpses, and those who survived either became hollows or are still seen defending a lifeless kingdom. Lothric is governed by the 3 pillars of rule: the knights who protect the kingdom, the scholars who run the Grand Archives, and the High Priestess who also served as Prince Lothric's wet nurse. Those who abide by these rules are the Lothric Knights, but these Winged Knight variants are said to be heretics as they don't accept their rules. This is because of Gertrude, the Heavenly Daughter. In the Grand Archives, we can find a birdcage cell with a dead body in it. This is assumed to be Gertrude. She was one of the Queen's holy maidens, although depending on some item descriptions, she may also have been her daughter. One day, Gertrude was visited by an angel, and through this was able to establish the angelic faith of Lothric. Seeing as this isn't a part of the regular 3 pillars, Gertrude was taken and imprisoned. Those who agreed with her teachings, though, band together to defeat the current rulers of Lothric, which led to a massive civil war. Out of all the 3 kingdoms we visited so far in the trilogy, the kingdom of Lothric is easily in the worst state. This condition that we see the castle in may also symbolize the world of Dark Souls itself. I'll elaborate more on this idea later, but it's my personal theory that not only did our characters from Dark Souls 1 and 2 link the flame, but every person in between these games did so as well. If we go back to the intro, the narrator says that Lothric is where the transitory lands of the Lords converge, meaning this isn't like the past games. In Dark Souls 1, all the main bosses were within Lordran already, but in Dark Souls 3, the lands
the angelic
of these
teaching is
lords
my
have been
favorite bit
forced
of
together.
lore.
It's unclear how this is even possible, but it
Yeah,
may go back to
sounds
the first
interesting.
flame. The world of Dark Souls is dying. It's a shadow of its former self. Places are being buried, destroyed, and created in an endless loop. The intro does a great job of showing this, but the one area that truly opened my eyes to this was Dreg Heap. This place is covered in rubble and buildings that span so far and wide that you can't even tell what the buildings used to be or when they were built. We talked about how time was
Yeah, this
convoluted
area
in Dark
looks
Souls 1, but in
insane.
Dark Souls 3, this has been progressed even further. Lands are being moved together, creating a tidal wave of rubble, and it's all because the first flame. If you watched the past videos, you may have noticed how worse things have gotten throughout the series, and I believe this is because the first flame hasn't been snuffed out. People are still clinging on to that illusion of life, as Aldia put it, and are willing to stay in the comfort of what they know rather than step out into the unknown. And because of that, the world has gotten even worse. Each Dark Souls game has tried to push the player toward one specific idea: the Age of Fire in 1, the Breaking of the Curse in 2, and the Age of Dark in 3. Everyone in Dark Souls 3 is just doing what they continue to do because it's all they know. Some are blindly following their faith, and others are continuing to work on their craft. This game truly conveys the attitude and the effects of a dying world, one that is practically begging to be put out of its misery. It's basically saying, look at all of this in-game. Look at the destruction of the kingdoms, the ruins of the world, and the people who inhabit it. Do you think any of them are truly happy to be alive right now?
No.
Not even the Lords of Cinder,
It's a
beings
sad-
who have
it's a sad
insurmountable
environment.
power, don't even want to link the flame.
It is
It
a
lays all
sad
of this out for
environment.
you and asks you to choose, which is quite a heavy burden. Choosing to go against the status quo that has been said for who knows how long is a very hard decision, but at least we don't have to make that choice now, as the game will blindside us again and create another boss encounter for us to be hypnotized by. We'll talk about Vort later though, as he does have ties to another boss later in the game. After Vort, we'll be taken to the Undead Settlement. This place functions like the Undead Burg in Dark Souls 1, as this place was the residence of many of the kingdom's undead. But one thing we'll see immediately upon entry is this massive pile of corpses at the end of the bridge. These beings are pilgrims and are most likely from the Kingdom of Londor, as the only survivor is Yol of Londor. He is related to Yuria, however, so we will have to discuss him a bit later. As we explore the Undead Settlement, we can see that this place is in just as bad of shape as Lothric Castle. Bodies are piled up everywhere, and some have even been put into cages. This land has also been subjected to various curses, and because of this, many of the settlement's inhabitants sealed them away in a spirit tree, but would end up cursing the tree itself, which would lead to the creation of the cursed rotted Greatwood. During the second phase, the Greatwood will
Hold on.
slam into the ground.
Really quick, I need to do one quick thing, and I'm gonna get back into the video. Just need to pick the button. One quick thing. Sorry.
Bowie.
Okay.
And will discover the true resting place of all the settlement's hollows in the aptly named Pit of Hollows. It's unclear though whether or not the hollows that were dumped here were alive or not upon arrival, but since the Moundmaker's Covenant is down here, it's possible that they were thrown in here alive and all fought to the death, which would explain the plethora of bones covering the walls. But it could also be that these people actually banded together to create the Moundmaker's Covenant. Regardless, it's clear that their fates were sealed the moment they were thrown in. While the curse-rotted Greatwood is to the left of the dilapidated bridge, if we instead go to the right, we'll make it to the Road of Sacrifices and subsequently Farron Keep, which leads us to our first Lord of Cinder, the Abyss Watchers.
Hey man,
Farron Keep is rather interesting, as not only is it the resting place for the Abyss Watchers, but it may also be the ruins of Oolacile. In this area, we can find the Golden Scroll and the Dusk Crown, items that have ties to Oolacile. And we can also find dead mushrooms and maybe even the final resting place of Elizabeth if this taller mushroom is assumed to be her. This would also fit narratively with the Abyss Watchers, as they were a part of an organization dedicated to fighting the Abyss, and seeing as Manus was located under Oolacile, this would tie together quite nicely. The Abyss Watchers were the main fighting force of a group called the Undead Legion of Farron, who took inspiration from Artorias and dedicated their lives to fighting the Abyss. But their group numbers seem to be much larger than they seem, as these monstrous beings are seen guarding the Abyss Watchers boss arena. They even managed to recruit one of the Twin Crystal Sages that is said to have betrayed his scholarly friends of the Grand Archives to ally with the Undead Legion. As for the Abyss Watchers themselves, it's said that they all share the blood of the wolf, most likely in reference to this wolf found in the area.
Do I look tired? Do I look tired? Because I'm not trying to let it show, but I am a little sleepy. I am a little sleepy. I am still enjoying myself. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bored or nothing like that. I'm here, but it's just like I am sleepy.
And used its blood to increase their power. And their power was unmatched, as not only were they able to hunt together like a pack of wolves, but they've been known to bury an entire kingdom at the slightest sign of the Abyss. This group would eventually link the Flame, presumably in an attempt to cast away the Abyss for good, but with their main force gone, the rest of the forces dwindled and left the Undead Legion, as there was nothing else to do. But as we know, the Abyss can't be destroyed that easily. It eventually came back and went unchecked since none of the Legion were around, and managed to turn their land into a festering swamp. These monstrosities that we see may have been Legion soldiers who were corrupted by the Abyss. When the Abyss Watchers awoke, they came to the realization that their home was overrun and their mission was unsuccessful. And while it's not stated when this happened, at some point some of the members became tainted with the Abyss itself, which leads to the cutscene before the boss fight, where they're all fighting one another as they're trying to fight back against the Abyss, but since they're all undead, they're constantly being revived, so they're stuck in this never-ending battle between each other, which is likely why they won't link the Flame. Doing it the first time didn't stop the Abyss, and they have more important things to do than sit on their throne and let the Abyss consume the world. I absolutely love the Abyss Watchers, and not just from a lore perspective, but also as a boss. What really sold the fight for me was the hints of Artorias that were spread throughout their movesets. The Undead Legion took inspiration from Artorias, so it's only right that they mimic his fighting style, and the fast-paced leaping attacks that they have really reminded me of that fight. Furthermore, this fight's quality increases tenfold once the other members join in, as it turns this honorable duel into this chaotic mess. You lose all focus during this fight, as you're having to keep track of 3 different Abyss Watchers who can slide across the arena in a second, and the second phase is just as deadly, as the last dead Abyss Watcher consumes the blood of all his brethren in a last-ditch attempt to stop us. He's a lot faster.
This is still a really cool boss early on. Like, he is a fantastic... The Abyss Watchers, they are a fantastic early DPS check. Like, every boss for the most part up until this point is cool. But this boss right here, I remember when I was 14 years old and fought this boss for the first time, I was geeking out at the second phase. I'm not even gonna lie.
Than last time and produces flames from his sword, which makes the fight even harder. It shows how dedicated the group is to their mission and how they'll use anything they can as long as they win, similar to how Artorias fought us with all his strength and even a broken arm. From both a presentation and gameplay perspective, the Abyss Watchers are fantastic Lords of Cinder and the best way to introduce the player to the sheer power these lords hold. Behind the Abyss Watchers is the Catacombs of Karthus, a place that has seemingly no actual kingdom, as this Karthus is never seen in game, but given that Wolnir is located down here and is known to be a lord consumed by the Abyss, maybe the Abyss Watchers leveled the entire kingdom. And while that is an interesting idea to think about, what's more important is actually what's underneath the catacombs. If we break this bridge and use it as a ladder, we can enter the Smoldering Lake, the original location of Lost Izalith and possibly Ash Lake. In here we can see giant structures that look very similar to arch trees of Ash Lake, and given the
wow, no, this might actually be Ash Lake
of Lordran,
because of all the trees.
Ash Lake and Lost Izalith weren't too far from one another, so it wouldn't be a stretch to assume that they can exist in the same location. If we continue deeper into the lake, we'll see dozens.
But it might honestly be Lost Izalith though, because this is where you find that Chaos Pyromancy Tome and Quelana's corpses here too.
of dead demons that resemble the Capra, Taurus, and Stray demon from Dark Souls 1. It's very clear that the demon race is dying and that they're struggling to survive. We can even see this in the Stray demon near Farron Keep, which is covered in stone rather than the flesh and blood that we're used to. There's even the old Demon King, whose boss room is covered in the corpses of his fellow demons. He'll try his best to fight the Ashen One with all his might, but most of his power ran out years ago, and as a last resort will release all his flames in a fiery explosion, but in doing so he'll lose all the power he's ever consumed and will be unable to fight. The demons of Dark...
They are pretty close to each other, to be fair, yeah. Said no, that is the sister, not her. Quaylana. That's not Quelaag. I don't think that's Quelaag. That's Quaylana, ain't it?
Dark Souls 3 are a dying race, and further adds to the theme of death and decay the game is trying to convey. Kingdoms aren't lavish spectacles of beautiful architecture, they're a war zone, and the demon race is no longer a formidable foe, just a dying breed that won't last another generation. The symbolism of this place is beautiful, as it shows that everyone is being affected by the progression of time, and no one is gaining from having this age continue. But not everything needs to have a sad ending, as if we explore the rest of the smoldering lake, we can find the corpses of a spider and a woman, and judging from the tome that is located on her body, it seems that Quaylana found the fair lady and got to spend their last moments with one another. It's a wonderful and happy ending. Quaylana got to find her sister, who she thought was dead, and the fair lady is finally able to die and no longer has to suffer anymore. Getting back on track, to get to our next Lord of Cinder, we need to find Irithyll, but to gain entry, we need to find a specific item that is located in the Cathedral of the Deep, the resting place of Aldrich, Saint of the Deep. Aldrich's story is by far the most vague, but also the most detailed amongst the Lords of Cinder, as his story encompasses various other bosses that we've already had the pleasure of meeting. Years ago, Aldrich was a common cleric, but he would eventually start experiencing visions of a deep sea.
Here we go. Let's lock in for this. Let's lock in for Aldrich, ladies and gents.
Deep Sea was another form of the Abyss, and it was located in the lowest possible depths imaginable and formed the core components of the world. We never get to see the Deep Sea in-game, but it seems to be the lowest layer, something only Aldrich can see. He then shared this info with only those he trusted, who were his archdeacons McDonald, Royce, and Klimt. They not only kept this information within their inner circle, but also encouraged one of Aldrich's insatiable urges. Whether this was something he always had within him, or it came about when he saw visions of the deep, Aldrich had an insatiable urge to consume human flesh. The archdeacons encouraged Deacons McDonald opponents of the world. We never get to see the Deep Sea in-game, but it seems to be the lowest layer.
We jumped. We jumped.
Something only Aldrich can see. He then shared this info with only those he trusted, who were his archdeacons McDonald, Royce, and Klimt. They not only kept this information within their inner circle, but also encouraged one of Aldrich's insatiable urges. Whether this was something he always had within him, or it came about when he saw visions of the deep, Aldrich had an insatiable urge to consume human flesh.
Says shit tasty, Slickmeister. Under no circumstances. None. None. No, sir. None.
The archdeacons encouraged this behavior and used their influence to create an army, or it came about when he saw visions of the deep, Aldrich had an insatiable urge to consume human flesh. The archdeacons encouraged this behavior and used their influence to
let him cook. So y'all have that conversation. I'm done reading.
Y'all followers who not only worshipped Aldrich, but also went out and gathered sacrifices for him. That's why these evangelists are located in the undead settlement, as they are trying to bring the undead to the cathedral so that they may be consumed by Aldrich. We also learn that he would eat anyone, even including children, as Anri and Horus are said to be the only two children who managed to escape Aldrich's grasp. Where Anri and Horus are located happens to be the Road of Sacrifices, the path that the settlers and evangelists took to get...
Oh, so that's why Anri and Horus are so close. I mean, they probably got a lot more history together, but they're also survivors of this weird ass nigga that's trying to eat people. And there ain't no excuses. I don't care if he had visions of the deep or not. No, this dude is just weird. You just want to eat people. Poor Firekeeper, she ain't... Yeah, I'm not reading that, bro, because first and foremost, you don't know... I'm not reading it. I'm not even going to entertain it. Think what you want to think, bro. Think what you want to think.
To the cathedral before consumption.
Think what you
this cathedral performed all manner of rituals and cleansings in order to purify those who entered its doors. After numerous sacrifices, the people around Aldrich managed to go insane.
Can't agree with the children part. Oh, really? Oh, that's the deterrent. I can't agree with him as an entity. Okay? Him, all of him. I don't agree with none of it.
and even though Aldrich himself was able to keep his sanity, his form would change rapidly as he would eventually become the black sludge that we see in the intro.
Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why you in this decrepit world where shit can happen to anybody, yo freaky deaky ass, and mind you, this dude was what didn't they say he was like a man of science? So you already read some of the books in the archives, nigga, and you've heard the stories and what people become. And you still decided to fulfill this appetite and start eating people. And now you're a black sludge. Like, what did you expect? What exactly did you expect? But the rest is good. Y'all are on some different energy and timing, and I'm not gonna condone it. You just tell it yourselves. Chaos Witch Quelaag's sister does not have an official given name in Dark Souls, and is instead known as the Fair Lady or simply Quelaag's sister. So who's Quaylana? Who is that? Who is Quaylana? Who is that? Smo ate people, and look at him, he was a Chad. Smo was a big piece of shit. Quaylana is the sister you buy shit from. Oh, the witch. Got you. So yeah, I know what I meant when I said that was Quaylana. I meant to say that was Quelaag's sister. Quaylana, Quelaag. They sound like that's what they. You know what I'm saying? They in the same family. If Quaylana, Quelaag, and then the Fair Lady. Got it.
Due to his immense power, he was used as a Lord of Cinder, but seeing as Aldrich was fully consumed by the visions of the
muscle daddy. Yeah, all right.
deep sea, linking the fire would be the opposite of what he had planned, so this implies that it was linked against his will. They would eventually return Aldrich's body to the cathedral to be placed inside the large coffin seen in the Deacons of the Deep boss fight. These deacons were led by the archdeacons we discussed earlier, but while Aldrich was laying in his coffin, another piece was added to the board. Pontiff Sulyvahn was a former resident of the Painted World of Ariandel. Just like the world of Dark Souls, the Painted Worlds have their own cycles that need to be rekindled in a sense. Well, the Pontiff lived in the current Painted World of Ariandel, but felt no reason to continue his life here as he had not experienced any hardship or despair. We'll learn about the painting's residents in the DLC, but unlike the Painted World of Ariamis, which was a world for all the things the gods feared, Ariandel was for those who had nowhere else to go and are without purpose. Sulyvahn would then set out in search of a purpose and would eventually come across Irithyll. This place
So he came from the Painted World. I did not know that. Wow.
is very relevant to the story, as right next to it is Anor Londo, the same one from Dark Souls 1. From various item descriptions, we learn that Gwyndolin didn't actually die in Dark Souls 1, as he is still very much alive.
I kind of wanted to go back to Freaky Deaky Aldrich and Pontiff. He probably gonna circle back. Oh, I forgot Pontiff. If Aldrich is Edgain, Pontiff is Joseph Stalin.
In this game. Now, whether or not the Chosen Undead never fought him or they killed him but he somehow revived himself is unknown and ultimately irrelevant. But with Gwyndolin being the only god left in Anor Londo, he tried to reach out to those in his extended family in hopes of trying to rebuild the god's rule. The only one he managed to find though was Yorshka, a crossbreed girl similar to Priscilla. It's unclear what her relationship with Gwyndolin was or even her relationship with Priscilla was, but all we know is that she was content with helping Gwyndolin in his objective. Gwyndolin would also reinstate the Darkmoon Blades as a way to help protect them from any adversaries. One of their
So then maybe theoretically the Gwyndolin we faced was an illusion as well. Maybe it was just a very strong illusion that we faced. Because he's still here. He's still around. Pontiff's a demon. That's from what I hear, he is.
knights, though, happened to be Pontiff Sulyvahn, who infiltrated its ranks and managed to corrupt all the members he came across. He would then end up enacting his plan when Gwyndolin was stricken with an illness that left him unable to care for his covenant or city. Sulyvahn, in one successful swoop, managed to imprison Yorshka in a nearby tower and throw Gwyndolin inside Anor Londo Cathedral, allowing him to have complete control of Irithyll, which is how he earned the title of Pontiff. In order to ensure protection of his new kingdom, the Pontiff would not only set Irithyll knights in various positions as guards, create a barrier over the whole city so that no one could enter, but also send Outrider knights to conquer other lands. We've already seen a few Outrider knights across the game already, but the two most notable knights are Vort and the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Not much is known about the duo, except the fact that the Dancer was a daughter from one of the royal families in Irithyll. Whether she served willingly or not is unknown. Either way, both of their fates would end up the same, as they were both bestowed a ring given by the Pontiff, which would end up slowly turning them into these malformed beasts. After an unknown amount of time, Aldrich would reawake again as a Lord of Cinder and would foresee the world's eventual destruction at the hands of the Deep Sea. Due to this premonition, though, he would neglect the throne and wait for the deep to overcome the world. And it was during this waiting that he would dream of the old gods and how they wanted to relink the flame. He saw this as a ploy against his own wishes and sought to devour the very gods. He then traveled to Irithyll, decimated the Knights
So honestly, who knows? I don't even think Miyazaki knows. Probably don't.
against his own wishes and sought to devour the very gods. He then traveled to Irithyll, decimated the knights guarding the city, and forced the Pontiff to surrender, who gave up control of Anor Londo, allowing Aldrich to have an audience with Gwyndolin. What happened next is what we see during the boss fight. We interrupt Aldrich mid-consumption, who now has to use the barely conscious body of Gwyndolin as a weapon to
I thought he was already done. He's still eating Gwyndolin while we're fighting him. This is nasty. This is nasty. This is nasty. This is a nasty, freaky deaky boy, bro. This man is disgusting. And the room is all covered up in his sludge. Y'all losing to Worm Demon? Pontiff losing to Worm Demon and Gwyndolin losing to Worm Demon. I mean, our weird looking chosen undead ass shows up and whoops his ass. He's still sucking himself some femboy Gogurt. You can hear Gwyndolin's moans in the fight. Good lord.
defeat us. All those can give us the Dark Moon longbow, which belonged to Gwyndolin, but also the Life Hunts.
Love me some femboy. Hold on. Because my Streamlabs like flickered. And then it said I went live, went unlive, and then went live again. We good? I think we're still good though. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. That was weird. Yeah, this stream is broken. This stream is broken. Oh my gosh. She is a distant daughter or direct descendant. It also flickered here. It did. Okay, I was about to say I could have sworn I'm not tripping. She is a distant daughter or direct descendant of the old royal family of Anor Londo, widely believed to be connected to Guinevere, the Princess of Sunlight. That being who, the dancer?
Scythe that belonged to Priscilla. But interestingly though, he never consumed Priscilla, only dreamed of her. From what I can gather, it seems that Aldrich
Her mirage-like veil is an ancient artifact reserved only for direct descendants of the old royal family. Her soul could be transposed into the soothing sunlight miracle which strengthens her ties to Guinevere.
can acquire abilities from those he consumed, and is also able to peer into that person's memories. The reason he was able to acquire the Life Hunt Scythe is because it's a miracle. Miracles in Dark Souls are like stories. You're essentially reciting a story and using the talisman as a medium for the power. So Aldrich consumed Gwyndolin and dreamt of Priscilla during the consumption, and then learned the story of the Life Hunt Scythe and was able to cast it since it's basically just the equivalent of reading a story again. Earlier I said Aldrich had the most detailed story out of the Lords of Cinder, and I wasn't lying. His story doesn't just include himself, but 5 other bosses and close to a dozen named characters.
And I like how it seamlessly goes into the current time. Like, most of the time when you're following up on characters' backstories and past and different things like that, it kind of stops at a point and then you meet them afterwards. We're meeting Aldrich in the middle of his story. Like, he's not done yet. You know what I'm saying? He's here and he is trying to take this shit over right now. And we're meeting him in the middle of it, stopping him. Which goes to show we had to meet him here because Aldrich probably would have been extremely powerful had he kept going. Like, he's trying to get to his prime basically. And we're whooping his ass mid-lunch.
It is a very long story to wrap your head around, but it is the kind of storytelling that got me interested in these games in the first place.
That's really cool.
It showcases
I
all
still
the
don't
different
like
events from different points of view
Still
and
don't.
how these
This nigga's
characters fit
nasty.
into one cohesive timeline.
It's
But
disgusting.
just as the story is detailed, so too is it vague.
This
The
nigga
Deep
gross.
sits on a shelf alongside many of the concepts of the Dark Souls universe that are barely touched upon. In its defense, though, the Deep does have a lot of item descriptions tied to it, so we can at least get a better understanding of what its true nature
He said he was hungry. Can you blame him? I can.
is, but seeing as it's never shown to us in game game or ever elaborated
Many
on
different things
further
you can
than
eat,
what we
gang.
talked about,
Many.
it just becomes another
Many.
idea in the world of Dark Souls that
Many.
leaves a lot open to the interpretation. As for the boss fight, Aldrich was pretty entertaining, but I think a much better boss fight in my opinion was Pontiff Sulyvahn.
Entertaining. There are people out here that like that boss fight. I'm not going to judge your opinion. Do your thing, gang.
I've always liked Sullivan's design, and plus the walk towards him is always very
This
ominous,
boss
as
right
you don't
here.
know what to
This
expect,
boss is
especially
fire.
when he dashes right at you
This
the moment
boss
you
is
get too
fire.
close. Fort and the Dancer were pretty much on the same level as Aldrich, in my opinion. I still think Pontiff ranks
You
higher
should see me when I'm hungry. Considering the conversation you and Man Dude had, I don't think I would like to. I don't think so. I don't think so. Whenever you're hungry, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Go into your space, eat your food, and do your thing. You got it.
than all of them, but they were really entertaining fights. And honestly, this opinion I have is Pontiff ranks higher than all of them, but they were
like
really
Aldrich.
entertaining
Yeah,
fights.
okay.
And honestly, this opinion I have is pretty much the same for most of the bosses in this game. Even Eudix was an entertaining fight, and he was the first boss we ever face. It's clear that the quality of the bosses has been raised thanks to Dark Souls 3,
They've
and I
stepped
think
up.
one reason for this was because the team reverted the previous ideas of Dark Souls 2, and instead focused on the quality again rather than the quantity. Each fight brought some sort of unique twist, so that it
Yes.
never felt like you were in some traditional fight, as that's what the enemies were
Or
for.
how
Even fights I
some of the
dislike
bosses legitimately in Dark Souls 2. That's my major criticism with Dark Souls 2 is there are so many bosses and some of them are extremely lackluster or others are bullet sponges where they just have a ancient dragon, for example, a lot of fucking health and you're just hammering away at it until it dies. It's kind of lame. You know, they say you're not yourself when you're hungry. Oh, clearly, yeah, I'm seeing that. Aldrich, Devourer of Gods, was once a holy cleric who would transform into a monstrous sludge-like being through his insatiable habit of cannibalism. Yeah.
like due to their lack of
Yeah,
difficulty,
this
like
nigga's
the
weird.
deacons are
This
still at least
guy.
mildly impressive, as it's
Aldrich
leagues
is a
better than the
weirdo.
congregation from Dark Souls 2, which I'm assuming was the inspiration for it. Those enemies between the bosses are allowed to have basic attacks and a combo or two, but the bosses are where all the creative talent is supposed to be spilled into. It felt like there was real passion behind these bosses again, from their designs to their movesets, and that's one of the reasons Dark Souls 3 is held in such a high regard within the game.
That just
from their
goes
design
through that just went through the
to
wall.
their movesets, and
I love this game so much.
that's one of the reasons
So
Dark Souls
much,
3 is
so
held in such a
much.
high regard within the franchise. The other reason
call
may
it
also be down to
cannibalism, I
the
call it yummy
locations
yummy.
themselves. There is beauty in destruction, as they say, and Dark Souls 3 proves time and time again how this is possible. The catacombs, the cathedral, and the smoldering lake are all great examples of this, but the way the game shifts this idea and instead showcases beauty through architecture again, through the lens of things like Irithyll and Anor Londo, is genius. Even the smallest things, like looking over a ledge and seeing the rest of the kingdom, or just walking through the hallway that leads to Gwyn's tomb, are beautiful, not only because we get to see some of these locations in a new, more updated light, but because From Software has always expertly crafted its levels to showcase these moments for us. That's one of the reasons Anor Londo was so beloved amongst the community, is not only was it the first area that showed actual signs of life in the world of Lordran, but its design was a sight to behold. Even Anor Londo in its current state still holds that beauty. It's just
But it was a fallacy. Because that was the illusion that Gwendolyn literally put in place for you to, and then once you disrupt it, all of a sudden now you see what it really is, which is it fits right into everything else. It's just dark and gone and dead. It is pretty though. The slow head turn, oh, it's like the dramatic chipmunk. Yeah. Or that Sackboy meme too. Human cannibalism. Aldrich started as a cleric in the way of the whites. He developed a morbid taste for human flesh, consuming so many people that his body bloated and softened into a gelatinous, gelatinous, I can't say the word, mass of sludge. Yeah. That's why I said, I'm like, you see what can happen to these people in this kind of world, and you still out here trying to eat people. Still, you a nasty, freaky boy. You freaky as hell. I don't like this Aldrich, dude. This nigga's a clown.
just a different kind of beauty. Not how various pieces of architecture can create a godlike city that people can only dream of, but how despite its destruction
feel you,
and
gang.
loss of life,
I see him
Anor Londo
too.
still manages to be a beacon of light and upholds the massive significance that it displayed in Dark Souls 1. After the defeat of Aldrich, if we retrace our steps back to Irithyll, we can find a separate path that leads to the profane capital, ruled by Yorm the Giant. Interestingly though, we don't just arrive
Now we
in
get
the
into some
capital, as
peekage.
upon exiting through this hole in the wall, we arrive in the
Now we get into some
Dungeon,
peekage.
which is a massive and convoluted prison filled with all manner of beings who have been imprisoned and tortured and abused by all the jailers. These jailers are said to hail from the profane capital, but later served under the rule of Pontiff Sulyvahn. They're also very ruthless in their
Worse than Seath.
Debatably, Aldrich is same as Pontiff. They own that. I'm trying to get power, trying to get my name out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means eating people or literally corrupting individuals that have not done anything wrong to me. You know what I'm saying? Which is bad. It's bad. It is. It is. Seath's bitch pussy ass literally sold out his entire family all because he was jealous. So not only did you get your whole race slaughtered, your entire race slaughtered, but you did it because you a bitch. Seath is still worse. I'm sorry. I don't like cowards. I don't like pussies. I'm gonna keep saying I'm sorry. Lord forgive me. I'm swearing a lot. I do not like cowards. I cannot stand them. They are very annoying, and I'd rather be pissed off at the fact that this character is evil than pissed off at the fact that this character is annoying. When I'm annoyed, I am annoyed. I hate that feeling. I hate being irritated. I hate it, and Seath irritates me. As a fight, yes. Lore-wise, no. I think Seath sucks in every possible way. The only thing I like about Seath is a very pretty dragon. Very pretty looking boss. The boss fight is ass, and the character is ass. I don't like Seath. Like, I don't like this thing. There's nothing to like. There are some theories about why Seath did nothing wrong. I have sub from such people. Yeah, those people that say stuff like that, let me keep playing this video.
Methods when it comes to escapees is they have a poisonous mist that saps your health away, and use a scoldering piece of hot iron that not only burns at the touch but will hinder your ability to run away as you temporarily fat roll when afflicted. If you manage to escape the prison, you'll be greeted by the underground city of the profaned capital. From a pure spectacle or design perspective, I think Shulva had a much better greeting upon its entry, but the profaned capital is still nice to look at. It is admittedly quite small. This could once again be due to the geological shift of the lands towards Lothric, but that doesn't ignore the fact that the devs could have done a bit more with its design. You'll likely spend more time in the adjacent dungeon than in the actual capital. While the area does lack in length, it does try to circumvent the issue a bit by adding a bit more depth. The capital is covered in various trinkets, goblets, and burned corpses, and these bodies don't just stop at the entrance, they are in every section of the capital. It's trying to get the player to wonder what exactly happened here. Well, the capital was under attack by a new flame, called the Profaned Flame. This was a curse created by a group of women, and while they did become disfigured and turn into these creatures we see just outside the capital, they did manage.
They turned into this? Bro, y'all gotta stop making flames, bro. Stop making flames. The witch of Izalith tried to do good for humanity, got her whole family clapped up and made demons by accident. It's not her fault, but she tried. Then you got these ladies out here making a profaned flame, and they turn it into they're turning into finger babies. Like, y'all gotta stop trying to make flames. Leave it alone. Just let this shit let this shit die, bro. Every single time they try, it gets worse every time. I could try to make a lightning flame. I'm gonna make a lightning flame, right? Boom. And I want to make a lightning flame because I feel like this flame in particular could do more good for society across the board. I'm gonna wake up the next morning. I'm gonna have a beak, 6 legs, and be the size of a ladybug. Why? Just cause I tried to do some shit didn't work out. And anybody that gets near me without them even knowing that they're near me, they get the same fate. Short, small, 6 legs, beak. Don't matter. Don't matter. Stop making flames. Leave it alone. Every single time they try, somebody gets punished. A whole lineage gets fucked up. Look at these ladies. Look at what happened to them. Because they tried to do some shit. They said, no, not the first flame really. The first flame literally sees it as a blasphemy. Sees it as, it's like, bro, it's like the first flame is a god. And it's a jealous god. It's like, oh, you trying to do this? Hell no, they ain't gonna have it. Seath the Scaleless went insane due to a combination of his obsessive, unnatural research into crystal sorcery, a deep-seated jealousy of his immortal scale dragonkin, and the isolated paranoia brought on by his frantic quest for eternal. Yeah, no, Seath is a bitch. Sorry. Seath gets me a little riled up because I hate that thing. Seath is a coward. And the worst kind of coward. The kind of coward that will make a bold play in order to prioritize themselves and themselves alone. I don't mind a coward that, well, I guess
No, most cowards do that. They might be in the heat of the situation, just run away. I just don't like cowards. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. But yeah, long story short, stop making flames. Stop making flames. This is the reason why you stop making flames. Don't do it.
To win in the end, as it pretty much killed every single person who resided in said capital. But this is where Yorm came in, as he attempted to stop this profane flame before it caused any damage by linking the flame and becoming a Lord of Cinder, but it didn't work, as the aforementioned destruction followed shortly after. The main question surrounding it, though, is why did these women create such a thing, and how? Well, it's possible that it may have ties to the Abyss, as both Carla the Witch and the profaned Cole, who are both found in the Irithyll dungeon, have ties to the Abyss.
You're here to save me. But I'm guilty. A wretched child of the Abyss.
No.
I'm getting my ass kicked right now. The DPS on these twin blades is not great. Ooh, really? See, this kind of like Candace. Shut up. Oh my gosh. Man, there's a new Evil Dead that came out a few months ago called Evil Dead Burns. And I'm not going to spoil too much about it because it's still a freshly new movie, but one of the characters is a coward. And I mean, not even like subtly. They're a coward. They are. At first I thought it was timid, being a little timid, bashful character. No, they're just a coward. And they do some stuff in that movie that's going to annoy you because they're a coward. It just adds. It just adds. Can't stand them. Does it help that Company of Champions makes you do like 50% less damage total, I think? Ooh. Yeah, and what did I say? I said I was going to do Company of Champions and no life gems. Broken straight sword. We got it. The bosses in that game are too easy except for like 2. 3. I'd say 3. I'll say 3. Burnt Ivory King, it's going to be a challenge because we have to kill those enemies before he shows up. I'm getting all 4 knights, don't care. Then Ava can be Ava. And then Sir Alone can be Sir Alone. So, we're going to see. I can't stand movies with pathetic little annoying cowards, bro. I'm the same here. I can't stand them. It pisses me off. I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't like those characters.
Words.
Like as a kid, Tails from Sonic used to piss me off. Luigi to this day still pisses me off. Stop being scared. Lock in, gang. What's wrong with you? Just lock in. It's annoying.
Where did you happen upon this coal? This is much too dark. I see the abyss in it.
Furthermore, we need to look at the Pontiff and Eleonora. Pontiff carries a sword called the Profaned Greatsword, which states that Sullivan discovered an unfading flame below the tundra of Irithyll, and the axe Eleonora can be dropped from these monstrous creatures, which says that the women who triggered the curse were relatives of a certain oracle. These words, tundra, Irithyll, a land covered in snow, and oracle all point to Aleum Lois, and Alsana being this oracle. From what we just talked about regarding the Smoldering Lake and what we know from the old Chaos in Aleum Lois, it's clear that the Flame of Chaos is dying, so maybe this is an altered version of the Flame of Chaos, or at least maybe the last few sparks of it. It's definitely a stretch, but the Profane Flame has always been interesting to me, as the last time a new flame was mentioned in the series, well, we kinda know how that went. Upon his revival, though, Yorm saw the state of his city and was in utter shock at what had.
It's like that guy from Barbarian. Yep. Shadow's my favorite from Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, I've always liked Knuckles. I know Knuckles is not the brightest guy. He's not the brightest tool in the shed, but he a cool character. And I've always loved the design of Silver. I just wish he was written better. That's all.
Occurred. So now he sits in despair, unwilling to link the flame, but despite how depressing it would be to kill him, we not only need his ashes, but a friend also needs to uphold his promise.
Oh, let me get that back. Why do we need to kill him again?
And was mentioned in the series. Well, we kinda know how that went. Upon his revival, though, Yorm saw the state of his city and was in utter shock at what had occurred. So now he sits in despair, unwilling to link the flame, but despite how depressing it would be to kill him, we not only need
So he
his
initially
ashes,
did,
but
then he
friend
saw
also
the state
needs
in the
to
city and
uphold
just
his
sat down.
promise.
He was like, nah, I'm not with none of this. Not with none of this. Most are kind of tough when you do 86 damage per hit on Ruin Signals with a +7 weapon. Oh God. I like Eggman played by Alfred Coleman. I do too. I don't think there's ever really been like a bad Eggman in my opinion. I think they all do a really good job, even Jim Carrey as well.
Old friend. I, Siegward of the Knights of Catarina, have come to uphold my promise. Let the sun shine upon this Lord of Cinder.
It is really cool though that a giant, again, these are a people that were attacked because, if I'm not mistaken, it was Nashandra that put something in Vendrick's ear to actually attack these people across the ocean, and they were just existing the same way the dragons were. It's cool that a giant actually became a Lord of Cinder. It's actually kind of fire. Have fun with the Broken Street. So I will. That's gonna be a very fun adventure. Very fun adventure. Hilarious even. They are maybe, but not the same giants as once DS2. One hit from every enemy does over half of my health, and you're only in the beginning too. Well, it's gonna get bad. Aren't you excited?
When Yorm became the ruler of his kingdom, many of the people disapproved of him. In an effort to gain their trust, he created 2 weapons called the Storm Rulers, and gave one to his people should he ever step out of line, and the other to his best friend Siegward, who promised to kill him should he come back to life. This is also the final step in Siegward's questline, and was the main reason I enjoyed it so much, as being able to fight alongside an NPC such as him against a giant sounds like a blast.
It's the best questline in this game. And Siegward is a fantastic NPC. He's probably the best NPC in this entire game. I am, because it will be very fun to watch. It is going to be a fun time, man. I'm telling you. Yorm's Kingdom are full of whiny bitches.
But despite the wonderful presentation and design of Yorm's character, it's easily the most underwhelming fight in the game. Using the Storm Ruler is the only way to do real damage to Yorm.
That's cap! That's a lie! That's literally a lie. Okay, maybe he doesn't know that you can fight Yorm normally, and you can actually do pretty decent damage against him. Like, legitimately decent damage against him. Even when I was doing the Pyromancy run, and I hit his head with a black fireball, I did like 700 damage. Like, you can do decent damage, bro. You can. It's cap.
The main attack of the Storm Ruler is the weapon art that produces a flash of wind.
You can use the Storm Ruler if you want to, because it's the obvious choice. But me, for every run against Yorm, I have a fantastic time doing it normally. It feels like I'm fighting a damn Titan from Attack on Titan. Like, I'd be having a blast fighting him normally. Finally, a fight we both like. You can't dislike Yorm the Giant. You can't.
Capable of downing him. But that's just it. It's just the same move over and over again. Doing this alone,
if that's what you want to do,
and with Siegward it becomes
your choice.
Easier, as you can almost stun lock Yorm for a large portion of the battle.
You
and
can.
For this to occur during a fight with a Lord of Cinder is pretty pathetic.
If that's what you want.
Yorm's second phase doesn't really change anything. It just adds a bit of fire to his weapon. I feel like there was much more potential for Yorm, but it was never given to us. Thankfully, this wouldn't be the last time this idea would exist in a Souls game, as Elden Ring repurposed this idea, and it was much better handled there. Our final Lord of Cinder is Prince Lothar.
Talking about Rykard? Is that what he's talking about? Rykard is the same thing. He just got a few different moves. Rykard is literally the same damn... It's the same damn thing. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's not like Rykard where he has a giant pit of lava around him, making any other weapon annoying as hell to use. Exactly. So then you have to resort... They force you to resort to the Serpent Hunter, the Serpent... Whatever the fuck the weapon's called. And it's the same thing with a larger health pool. It's the same thing. I hate Rykard. I'm not a fan of the boss. Not at all. He's talking about the Fire Giant. Fire Giant is ass. Ass. I recently did a run of Elden Ring today because I'm just trying to get back, kind of back into playing Elden Ring, and since we'll be doing future runs of the game pretty soon. And I wanted to see how fast I could beat it, because before I used to run it a lot, and my fastest time 2 years ago was like an hour and 57 minutes and some change. And today, Fire Giant, oh my gosh, like that man is just a troll. Fire Giant is a troll of a boss. He'll just do the most random shit. Very annoying. But no, back to this point. No, Rykard is literally the same thing with a few different moves, but you grab the same weapon to do the same thing to stagger him, rinse and repeat for about what, 3 minutes at the most, and he's dead.
The one who started this problem and repurposed this idea, and it was the one who started this problem in the first place. But the real question is why? It's the one thing that's been rattling in my head since the very beginning. Why did Lothric refuse to link the flame? Well, the answer is honestly a bit sad. Prince Lothric was born to die. The rulers of Lothric were King Osiris and his queen. Osiris had 3 children named Lorien, Lothric, and Ocelot. Lorien was the first and was a formidable soldier was born to die.
I'm gonna force myself to enjoy the Fire Giant. Yeah, you have fun with that. I'm not gonna argue with nobody about it. Y'all already know that boss's ass. Same thing, but done exponentially worse. Like, Yorm has a very limited moveset, and can you exploit it? Sure, but Rykard is just ass. Rykard is legitimately just ass. Lava Pool, giant AoE attacks that are very hard to dodge. Then he just clusterfucks your screen with a bunch of red mist and red skulls until he makes it explode. Rinse and repeat over and over and over again. So cinematically, then that's what Elden Ring goes for. They go for spectacles instead of good, actual good design and decent design. They just go for, oh my god, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, and it just comes out ass. Fucking Divine Beast dancing lion, freak janky ass camera, and bail the bitchless. Like I'm sorry, but it just, no, it don't work for me.
The rulers of Lothric were King Osclaim. Well, the answer is honestly a bit sad. Prince Lothric was born to die.
I'm gonna try to stop
the
pausing
rulers
so
of
much.
Lothric were King Osiris and his queen. Osiris had 3 children named Lorien, Lothric, and Ocelot. Lorien was the first and was a formidable soldier on the battlefield.
Wow.
He was able to single-handedly defeat the Demon Prince, who is said to rule over all the demons.
Right.
Osiris figured that his lineage could push their power even further by creating a child specifically to become a Lord of Cinder, and Lothric was to be that child. But he failed. Lothric wasn't strong enough, so the family committed a deed so heinous that it cursed him for life. Despite the curse, though, it worked, and Lothric was capable of relinking the flame. But his frail body combined with his poor health left him bedridden and resentful. Being the helpful brother that he was, Lorien wanted to combine his soul with Lothric's, but because of Lothric's curse, it consumed Lorien as well, which left him mute and a cripple. Due to this, the current state of the world, and the fact that even his teacher was having doubts about relinking the flame, it ultimately caused Lothric to refuse, and honestly, it's hard to blame him. Being created for the sake of power and not knowing what your sacrifice will truly do is a hard burden to put on a child, especially when you consider how much grooming was presumably done to get Lothric ready to link the flame. Had he been brought up in a different light, this story could have been changed, but due to the greed of the king, it ultimately started a chain of events that would bring about the end of the world.
I've died so much and don't have any more human effigies, so now I'm just getting one shot by everything. Oh my gosh, no fucking way. Good lord. Jesus. That's literally how I felt with was it Dark? It was Dark Lurker or something else, and I didn't have any effigies, and I was just like, I'm just dying. I don't think it was Dark Lurker. It was something. It was another area. I think it was like the stream afterwards. And I was at like half health, and I was just dying. Like, it sucks.
At the very least, though, the twin princes weren't the only ones that suffered. Osiris is more dragon than human now and has gone insane because of it. Similar to how Big Hat Logan became deranged from the knowledge he read on Seath, so too did Osiris, and depending on what you believe, he may also be hallucinating. During the fight, he talks about his son Ocelot, and we can infer that he's carrying him in his hand, but...
So he read information on Seath, and that's what happened to him? What? It takes 2 full stamina bars to kill 1 common enemy. Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah. You might want to just turn that company of champions off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Nothing is there. This, however, may not be as obvious as it seems. There's currently 2 theories I believe in that argue for and against Ocelot's existence. On one hand, Ocelot may be a hallucination from the king, either because Ocelot died and he can't accept the loss, or that he had been hallucinating the mere idea that he had a child in the first place.
No.
However,
no. He lost his mind. The name literally says Osiris, the Consumed King. I feel like sometimes some people have to not dive so deep into it and be like, well, maybe it's more than, maybe it's like a different layer. No, it's obvious. Osiris, the Consumed King, is holding the hallucination of his baby, and then when he comes to the realization that the baby is not there, he loses his mind, which is what the second phase is. Let's not overthink it. Let's not overcomplicate it, because this is how shit gonna get twisted. Stop it. Enough. No, we're not doing that. He's not hallucinating. We can hear the crying, the baby crying. He's hallucinating. He's hallucinating. What else would it be? Like, hell no, I'm not quite as suffering as temporary victory. King Osiris, Kazoo King is the father of twin princes. Yeah. Guys, the hill around my house is silent. Ooh, that sounds eerie. That actually sounds eerie. But no. I'm sorry. Like, sometimes it is more simple than what it, like, it's not that complicated. It really is not that complicated. Sometimes, and I feel like things are done to add to the aesthetic of what he may be hearing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, can we hear it? Sure, but it adds to the aesthetic of the boss fight to help you emphasize the idea that who you're fighting is no longer who he is. So when he comes to the realization that Ocelot is gone because he's gone, he loses his mind and becomes the rampaging beast that he is. It's not complicated. It's very simple. We're not doing that. We're not going to make this long thing. No.
During the second phase of the boss fight, Osiris will scream Ocelot's name, then slam the hand that carries him into the ground, presumably killing him. We can hear a baby crying in the background during the fight, implying that he lived, but I think this was a loophole by From Software to get rid of complaints. Killing kids in games, if I'm not mistaken, will get a game banned just about everywhere, and From Software has honored this rule and rarely ever adds kids to their games to begin with. The only ones that come to mind are Kuro in Sekiro and Father Gascoigne's daughter in Bloodborne. But his daughter is never seen as we're forced to talk to her through a wall, and while Kuro does make an appearance numerous times, he is never shown to be harmed. There are 3 parts in the game that Kuro is actually cut with something, and each time it happens, we never actually see
I'm going to play Sekiro soon. I don't want to be spoiled, gang.
Wound, but it's never actually shown.
Let me see. The residents up to some evil shit. Osiris used to have the baby in his hand. Yeah, when the baby was there. Of course he would carry the baby. Of course, 100%. 100%. I don't know why in this fight he loses his mind and all of a sudden the idea of his baby is gone, but he does. It happens. And now all of a sudden he lost his mind and he's a rampaging monster. I mean, if you look at some of the early designs for some of the bosses, that baby was definitely going to be there. I remember watching a video where there was an early model of the baby. So that's how I know it's not, oh, the baby was just never there in the first place. No, the baby was there. The baby, but he's hallucinating because the baby is no longer there. He's no longer there. This whole family apparently got completely afflicted with a curse, from Lorien to Lothric and now even him. So maybe the baby just died early. I have no idea. I didn't really think about it. I just thought Osiris was a predator or some shit. I didn't have to think much about it because it was, I mean, this was me at 14 that already knew. I was just like, oh shit, he lost his mind. He's about to go fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wanted Void to have a necklace of fetuses, but that got removed in the drawing. A necklace of fetuses? Whoa, that is dark. I'm glad that got removed. What the fuck? I'm happy that got removed. That is awful.
From Software most likely wanted to add Ocelot and his death to the game, but couldn't due to the possibility of the game being banned. Personally, I've always been a fan of the 4-party and do believe that the king is not hallucinating and Ocelot was meant to be in the game, because this also connects to the king's current mindset, as he is going so insane that he doesn't even realize the harm he's putting his child in. But to make matters worse, while the king was consumed by Seath's writings on immortality,
I think it's both. I think, again, the baby was real, but the baby died. And he could not come to terms with the fact that the baby is gone because the entire family got afflicted with this curse to force a baby, a child, to be dedicated to becoming the Lord of Cinder. And the baby in this fight at this time is not there. It's not there. It's not there. But fighting him, I don't know, I guess knocks some sense into him and he loses his fucking mind because his baby's gone. I think that's what it is. And I'm gonna stand on that hill. I'm gonna stand on that hill. Miyazaki was on bath salts in 2016. I believe it. Well, Toso confirmed it, guys. Rapid. I'm just look, like, I don't mind the theorizing, especially when we're discussing a story, character backstories or whatever, and there's not a whole lot to go off on. Then yeah, let's open the theory book and let's come to some sort of conclusion. When it's in your face, I don't really think we gotta do that. I don't think we gotta do that. That's like trying to come up with the theory of, is Nashandra really Nashandra? Yes. Yes. Like, of course. What are we talking about? We're talking about Osiris. We're talking about Osiris and whether the baby that he is carrying at this time is real. And my theory is that the baby has always been real, but the baby is no longer here. And at this time, Osiris, the consumed king, has lost his fucking mind, forgive me, God, and is carrying what he believes to be a baby, which is why we don't see anything, because the baby is not there at this time. Another thing to consider is that Osiris is blind. That too.
Twins were currently suffering through no fault of their own, the queen had just decided to leave. She disappeared quietly into the night from the kingdom and was never seen again.
Because I was curious, I was like, who the fuck was the... I keep cursing. I'm working on it. Who was the queen?
The queen's identity, though, is unknown, but it is heavily theorized to be Guinevere. From Dark Souls 1, we know that Guinevere bestowed divine blessings to her people and was seen as a symbol of bounty and fertility because of it. And the divine blessing of Dark Souls 3 says that the Queen of Lothric was initially revered as a goddess of fertility and bounty. But the issue is that we know that she left Anor Londo and became the wife of a flame god Flann. So how did she go from him to Osiris, and why did she leave him and come back here? Furthermore, if Gwendolyn was actually trying to get the gods back in Anor Londo, how did the two never find one another? And why didn't Guinevere come back? This could have been due to the presence of Aldrich and the Pontiff within the cathedral, but this also calls into question Rosaria, as her soul can create the bountiful sunlight miracle, which is one of the miracles of Guinevere. And given the presentation of both characters from the room's layout to their positions on the bed, it's clear that there is a connection between the two. Whether Rosaria is actually Guinevere or simply someone Guinevere knew is never explicitly told to us, and really in the grand scheme of things it doesn't really matter, but it is a very interesting theory nonetheless.
I don't think it's too far to suggest that Guinevere, because it said that she was married to a flame Flann or something like that. I don't think it's too far to suggest that Guinevere might have had two partners, not at the same time, but at one point and then at another point. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at how they even did something like Elden Ring, where Radagon was originally with Rennala, and then they gave no explanation as to why he became or infatuated and left to be with Marika. Now, of course, the theory is Radagon is Marika. He still left and got with somebody else and even had children with said person. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's not that far off, in my opinion. I don't know. Sometimes I just stare at my battle scar to PS4 and pray for him, brother. I actually saw this Instagram reel of someone trying to play Marvel Rivals in PlayStation 4. The minute the oat spam happened, his whole PlayStation crashed. I was crying at that. I was just like, bro, no, pack it up. It's done. It's actually fucking done. I just cursed again. And as I read, I'm also trying to curse less on my channel. In my head, I just cursed again. Yeah, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. Hear me out, Rosaria. I'd have to see a prime picture, not current. Can I ask which bosses is your favorite bosses in the Dark Souls games? Sure. In Dark Souls 1, my favorite bosses are Ornstein and Smo, Chaos Witch, Quelaag. Let me see. Artorias and Sanctuary Guardian, I'd probably say, are my 4 favorite bosses from Dark Souls 1, from Dark Souls 2. Flexile Sentry, without a doubt. I would have said Pursuer if they didn't spam him 10 times, so that kind of sucks. Sur alone, and this is in no particular order. Burnt Ivory King, Ava, Sin, and Elena. Or Elaine, I think that's the boss's name. The one before Sin. I would probably say. Am I missing anybody? There's so many bosses in that game. I'd have to really think. I like Scorpion Najika. I think she's pretty cool. She's not one of my favorites, though, so I'll take that finger back. She's not one of my favorites, but she is a cool boss. I'm not a PlayStation guy, so if I'm gonna upgrade my PlayStation, I'm gonna do it for the PS4 Pro. I'm not a console guy in general. Like, I won't get a console unless I absolutely have to. Like, I'll say this, I would buy a PS5 for God of War Lafe. because I think that game looks really cool. But I'm not really a console guy, to be honest. And then I'm gonna talk about this. And let me read this chat and answer your question. And I'm gonna bring up another point. Sorry for pausing. Let me see. Yeah, Quaylab made sense, but Zarya is a no-go. DS1 ORC Dispo. Yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. DS2 Humanite as well. That's another one. Mine is Sif, Nameless King, Manus, and ORC for Dark Souls 1, for Dark Souls 2, and it's Lost Center for Dark Souls 3. Or Dark Souls. It did it again. It did it again. It literally did it again. It literally did it again. It literally flickered again. I don't know what that's about. That's so fucking weird. I'm more of a console guy than PC. I just prefer the vibe of console instead of being hunched over on my gamer dungeon. That's fair. That's fair. I prefer PC because of how flexible it is, because it can play so many different things. And then Dark Souls 3, my favorite bosses: Champion Gundyr, without a doubt, Dragon Slayer Armor, Twin Princes, Sister Freed, and probably Dark Eater Madir. Oh yeah, and Pontiff Sullivan. If I had money, I would get a PC. Yeah, if I had money, I'd upgrade. I would have been upgraded mine, but you know, bills. It's never fun. Now, speaking of console, I did look at gameplay because it was a network test that took place over the weekend of the Duskbloods, which is the console exclusive Souls game for Nintendo Switch 2. And when it was first announced, I was excited. But then as news progressed, we found out that it was a console exclusive, and I was like, damn, that kind of sucks. But maybe if it's cool enough, I'll buy a Nintendo Switch 2. Then I saw that it was a multiplayer focused 8-person player online game. And I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. So then I was like, but you know what, let me keep an open mind. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll like it. I looked at gameplay over the weekend. Y'all are not going to see that game on this channel. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. Even if someone bought me a Nintendo Switch 2 and bought me Duskbloods, I would not play it. It's not for me. It is for the PvP sweats of Dark Souls. If you're into that, you're going to love Duskbloods. It's not for your boy. PC is factually better, period, because you can build a PC for dirt cheap and upgrade it as much as you want. Yep. Yo, but Lafay is not a buff brother. Yeah, when that discourse was happening, I was just like, of course it would be Twitter. Of course it was. That was the main outcry. That community, the Twitter vultures was literally the main outcry against Lafay for no reason. But what do you think of the Lord Ascender DS3? Is it mid for you? Oh yeah, I forgot to say Lord Ascender. I'm sorry, because that you actually across the board. I knew I was gonna forget a boss. Lord Ascender is also or Soul Ascender is also one of my favorite bosses. Duskbloods could have been the best game to ever exist, and I wouldn't get a Switch 2. It's not gonna happen, man. The Switch 2 can't even run the game fully at 60 FPS. No, not gonna happen. Sorry. Not gonna happen. Because I looked at the gameplay, and there's no shade. Like, it's not a bad game, per se. But the way I look at that... Okay, when I looked at Night Rain initially, and I saw that it was like a multiplayer kind of thing, I was concerned because I was just like, is that game going to be good? But then I played it solo for like 2 weeks, right? Had a blast. Then me and the boys got together, and because we sucked as a team, it took even longer. But we had a lot of fun playing through all the Night Lords, except for Augur. We did not do Augur together because Augur is actually fucking terrible. Had a blast. And then they were updating the game with like Everdark bosses and the whole 9 yards, and it was just like, yo, this game is actually fun. We played it for like an entire year, you know. And then the DLC, the Forsaken Hollows DLC, and it was more characters and more bosses. A lot of fun. But then I look at this game and I'm like, this game, the way it's structured, looks like it should be a mode for a bigger game. But no, that is the whole game. The whole game is that one mode, if I'm not mistaken. I think they said there's going to be PvE things so that you can understand the characters, but I'm like, yeah, that's just going to be the notebook thing that's in Night Rain. You might get like some lore and pieces of information here and there, maybe some solo activities, but the base game is that multiplayer mode. I'm cool. Very much cool. Very much cool. Miyazaki did confirm he will go back to single-player Soulsborns after. That's what's good. Please go back. Because this ain't working for your boy. Night Rain was already kind of a stretch, but it actually worked out. This one, I'm like, nah, not for me. But old gen consoles are also really cheap, and the pro variations can still kick it in 4K. That's true. That's true. 1, I hate PvP in Souls games. 2, I'm not getting a Switch 2 for 1 get fair. I'm not even mad. I'm the same way. I don't like doing any PvP in Souls games because they're toxic and they're never fun. And the netcode for PvP in Souls games from Dark Souls 1 to Elden Ring it's never been good. You'll do a running swing, the person will clearly dodge, but because the netcode works the way it does, you hit them. Same thing happens to you. No, it's ass. Ass. I will sell my kidney to never buy. You don't have to do that. How much did Miyamoto pay Zaddy Miyazaki to make Dustbloods? Eesh, I couldn't tell you. Dustbloods is PvPvE. Basically, a bunch of teams are placed in a map, and the goal is to kill all of the other teams, to my understanding. Yep. So you play for, there's like 3 rounds. In those 2 rounds, you have to collect these vestiges points, and at the end of each round, you're ranked based off of those points, and by the final round, it comes down to 3 people. In that final round, whoever's the last man standing wins. Each game is roughly about 25 minutes. Rinse and repeat over and over and over again. Not for me. So Dustbloods has no bosses. From what we've seen in that network test, no. They may have bosses for you to face off, whenever you actually see the full game. But based off of the network test, nah, it's just you fighting other players in these 3 rounds. They have different enemies, maybe even like mini bosses, but we haven't seen anything crazy like that. I love playing Left 4 Dead 2 on Xbox at a crisp 720 30 FPS. It's actually nostalgic, to be honest. I wouldn't mind it myself. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's clear, though, to no
Great.
one's surprise, that the royal family is in disarray and is currently suffering just like the kingdom is. Despite this, though, the Knights of the Kingdom still stay strong and continue to defend the castle against the corruption that is the Pus of Man. But it's starting to fight back, as the Pus of Man is embedded within these twin wyverns and many of the castle's soldiers. And it seems like the Pilgrims of Londor have also started advancing on the castle, as they've managed to control the armor of the Dragon Slayer and use it as a tool of their destruction. After battling through all of this chaos, though, we can finally meet the prince himself. The twin princes actually go against the status quo of the game, not just in their decision to refuse the throne, but also in how they're presented to the player. Lothric, in a way, is this game's Gwyn or Vendrick. He's clearly not on the same level as the other two, but it was Lothric's choices that set the game's plot into motion, just like how Gwyn and Vendrick's choices set their game's plots into motion. But instead of being presented as a shambling corpse, Lothric is the opposite, even if he's just some bedridden child that's cursed with a lifelong illness. The boss fight isn't this sad encounter that makes you feel like you're doing them a service by putting them out of their misery. You're fighting a being who is extremely powerful and is fully conscious of their actions, as opposed to the hollow versions of the other two. It was a wonderful twist, as I expected to be greeted by a somber tune, all while seeing the death and decay that has continued to spread throughout the kingdom reach the prince's chambers, but I didn't, and that surprised me. And now is probably a good time to correct a previous statement of mine. A couple months ago, I made a review on Dark Souls 3. It was a bit more gameplay-centric than this video is, but in that video I said despite loving the twin princes, Lorien had always pissed me off due to his awful teleportation ability. And I want to rectify that statement, as I never felt these feelings this time around. In the previous video on Dark Souls 2, I talked about how the quality of these bosses will always be a subjective opinion, as the boss's enjoyment largely depends on the build and the skill of the player. I naively at the time did not take this into consideration, and never considered that I was the problem. Looking at the gameplay now is downright embarrassing, and I realized that Lorien was never the issue, it was me. Yes,
I'm glad he said that he was going to rectify that, because I was going to say, if he stands on that stance that the teleportation is ass, I'm going to be like, brother, the teleportation is actually pretty damn good. It's a challenge, but I'm glad he fixed that. I find low FPS games on controller really charming. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to play Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube again. I don't mean to be that guy, and I know I'm trash at Soulsborne games, but this narrator is trash. Stop calling him trash. He's doing a good job. He's doing a good job, especially breaking down the lore. And gameplay wise, not everybody's a legend. Not everybody's like amazing at Souls games or nothing like that. They're not.
his teleport move does occasionally break line of sight, which is still annoying, but everything was not as bad as I had made it out to be. I always liked the Twin Princes as a boss fight. That opinion has never changed.
They are
I think
great.
I can now officially say that it's not only the best Lord of Cinder fight in the game, but it's easily one of the few fights in Dark Souls 3 that I consider completely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The sheer presence of these two is amazing. The fight is pretty much Lorien
It's the best
versus
Lord
the
of Cinder
player.
fight.
Lothric is able to protect
Right behind him
Lorien
is
with
Abyss
magic and
Watchers,
heal
but
him
it
once he
comes down to
dies,
them.
the
They
same
got
way the
it.
player
This
can
boss
heal
is
Estus
amazing.
and use their equipment to aid them. Lothric is like the support role in this duo, but he's also the main character that needs to be defeated,
Yep.
as he can obviously revive Lorien, but his magic forces the player to not engage them, prolonging the fight even longer than it already is, giving Lorien enough time to finish us off. And the fact that the duo manages to be a threat no matter the distance always adds to the intensity of the fight. I've always been one to admit when I'm wrong, and accept the fact that my opinions are never meant to be set in stone and can always be changed, and this playthrough thoroughly changed my mind about this fight.
If this was his first run, I wouldn't say nothing.
As the Twin Princes are not only worthy of the title Lord of Cinder, but were such an excellent boss to put at the end of the journey. Out of all the Souls games, I ended up talking about these bosses the most out of any in the trilogy, and this is due in part to the Lord of Cinders being the only objective in the game, so talking about them is really all we can discuss. They are the main focus of the game, and thus need to have detailed lore to back it up. This was forgivable in the other games, as while those beings did have some importance
Jesus,
in the world,
that
they
damage.
weren't the main
This dude
focus,
hits
but
too
in Dark
hard.
Souls 3, they are. If it wasn't for the Lords of Cinder, we wouldn't have a game, so they ended up becoming the main focus of the story, and the devs managed to deliver. Aldrich is a testament to that.
I almost died to prowling maggots in the congregation. Oh no. If you're almost dying to that, you might need to take a 5-minute break. I'm not even gonna lie. Just take a 5-minute break. Not them. Please, anybody but them.
Statement, as I may have spent more time on them than any character in the series, with the exception of the Witch of Izalith, who coincidentally also had numerous bosses and characters tied to her plot. I was really impressed by the overall presentation of this game, especially when it came to our 4 Lords of Cinder, even including Yorm, who had a wonderful design and presentation, despite the fight being a bit lackluster. Their lore was rich with details, and the item descriptions were long enough to create an essay's worth of information, but also left enough info out to keep that soul's spirit of finding the context clues and filling in the gaps. Plus, the encounters with said bosses made the time spent getting to them worth it. Even Yorm, as once again, despite being disappointing, there was at least an attempt to create the spectacle of tackling a monolithic-sized giant. But if there was one thing that bothered me about this game, it was the lack of attention given to Dark Souls 2. Narratively, this actually fits quite well, as Drangleic was supposed to be seen as this unimportant kingdom that would be easily toppled and replaced with something else in time, only to be forgotten by the rest of the world. But if the point was to make the kingdom feel unimportant, why are there constant references to it, like Kraton appearing in Cirrus's quest, Lucatiel's armor and Aslatiel's sword resurfacing in the game, the dead giant at Firelink Shrine, and not only a portrait of
I got hit once and got taken to 1 HP. Jesus.
Nashandra, but of Aleum Lois and Broom Tower found in Irithyll. It just feels confusing. It's like the team actively wants the player to know that despite not making Dark Souls 2, they are aware and care about the game, but barely put in the effort to justify it. What is truly the most upsetting part about this is that both Vendrick and Aldia, to my knowledge, are never mentioned once throughout the game. There is one magic spell found in the Grand Archives that says the words "the first of the scholars," which many people have pointed towards a link to Aldia, but he was a scholar of the first sin, not a first scholar, not Aldia. It's a shame because they were the only beings that we know of who sought to break the curse through unconventional means, and there's zero remnants of their work. The two are never brought up in the game, and the actual structures of Drangleic or Aldia's Keep are never seen in-game. I understand that Dark Souls 2 was not everybody's cup of tea, and maybe the original team wanted to do away with the team's creation, but you can't deny that Vendrick and Aldia had the potential to create a sizable impact on the story, and for their legacy to be tarnished like this is a bit disappointing. With all the Lords of Cinder dead and their ashes within our inventory, we can now link the first.
Because it doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make any sense to treat it as if it doesn't exist, but then you pay homage to it with different clues and pieces here and there. It's like they try to appease both parties. Parties being the ones that do like Dark Souls 2 and the ones that don't. The ones that do are probably appreciative of Kraton and the imagery, paying homage to Nashandra and Aleum Lois. I cannot say that's in my life. And you also have the parties that are like, oh, I don't like Dark Souls 2. I don't want to see it anywhere near my future Souls games. And that's why it's barely like mentioned or referenced in any possible way in this game. I suspect Miyazaki didn't know how to continue the DS2 lore, but that's just a theory. Maybe, that could be the case, But I also do like the idea that Dark Souls 2 treats Drangleic as one of many eras that are to come upon the same land. I do like that idea to where now it's just like where if you don't focus so much on it, it kind of makes sense as to why you wouldn't put so much time in terms of focusing so much on it, because it's just one of the many eras to come and to pass on and to move on to the next. So
I kind of like that idea, but at the same time, it's like, well, you did put a lot of effort into the story told within it, so there should be a little bit more care represented in the technically, not even technically, the final game in the trilogy. You know, the DS2 is very important to the lore and it should have been addressed. I agree. I'm gonna get off though since I have class at 8:50 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get up to the base game of this video, and then once he starts talking about the DLCs, I'm gonna wrap as well because I saw Streamlabs flicker twice within the span of 30 minutes. My PC is probably just like, brother, please. I'm like, all right.
Before we do that, there is 2 DLCs and a couple other bits of content from the main areas that I want to address first. If we rewind and go back to Osiris and
Okay, I thought he was gonna touch the DLCs now. I was just like, wait, it's like 5 more minutes.
Area behind his boss arena, we'll uncover a place called the Untended Graves. This place is identical to the Cemetery of Ash in the beginning of the game, with the only difference being the lighting. It's one of the most talked about locations within the community, as this confusion coupled with this feeling of nervousness settles in as upon entry you start to recognize all the familiar landscapes and are just bewildered that a place like this even exists. The boss is also identical, as it's Champion Gundyr as opposed to Eudix. According to his boss soul description, Champion Gundyr came to Firelink Shrine to relink the fire, but failed and arrived too late. He was then eventually bested by an unknown warrior, and given the series' heavy use of that term, we can assume that this warrior was us. Afterwards, he then became a sheath for the coiled sword. So similar to Ulasil and the Memory of the Giants, we can go back in the past, kill Champion Gundyr, who then becomes a sheath for the coiled sword, in hopes another warrior will come and use it to link the flame, who just happens to be us. We then take the sword from his present body as Eudix Gundyr and use it at the bonfire. If we happen to defeat Champion Gundyr though, we'll be greeted with an identical Firelink Shrine, and while the Firekeeper is not here, there are an Eyes of a Firekeeper located inside the building. If we have the eyes in our inventory, Ludlith and the Firekeeper will comment on them. Ludlith refers to the Firekeeper as her, implying that he knows the identity of this person, and the Firekeeper will mention how these eyes reveal frightening images of betrayal in a world without fire. So we can assume that this was in the past, and since Ludlith is familiar with the
I do not like how he says I got a childish mindset. I do not like how he says Gundyr, even if it is the correct way. So that is the right way. Okay, I'm gonna have to start saying it like that. I don't like how he parent Pentagos. Bro, stop. We're going forward. Champion Gundyr has entered the building. I'm sorry. That if that's the correct way to say it, we gotta honor the source material. I want to say Gundyr, but it's wrong. It is wrong. It's like saying Tuso. It's incorrect. Nah, it's Gundyr.
Firekeeper and is a Lord of Cinder, it's possible that this was during the time he linked the fire, which would also connect with the intro of the game that says that the Land of Lords are converging together. This land just happens to be Ludlith's. But what doesn't make sense is the Handmaid's dialogue. As in the Dark Firelink Shrine, her attitude seems to imply that the flame is still lit as she tells us to hurry along, but how is this possible? Well, sadly, I don't have an answer for that. The Untended Graves is one of the hardest parts of this game to wrap your head around, which makes discussing it extremely difficult.
Right.
One explanation, though, could be that the Firekeeper's eyes are what's causing this darkness, as the world in present-day Dark Souls 3 is getting close to the Age of Dark, as evidenced by the giant dark sign eclipse in the sky, but there's still plenty of light left in this world, whereas in the Untended Graves, there's nothing. But if all the light's extinguished, then that implies that this is an Age of Dark, but Ludlith linked the flame and continued the Age of Fire. So that's why I think it's the eyes of a Firekeeper displaying a vision in the sense of what the world will come to should we enact this grand betrayal, which is letting the flame die out. Another thing of note though is the repair spell in Dark Souls 3, which says that light is time, and the reversal of its effects is a forbidden art. So this implies that the Untended Graves could be like the things betwixt. It's sort of stuck in limbo because there's no light existing and therefore time not existing. Regardless, despite its very confusing backstory, it's probably my favorite location to discuss in the game as there's so many possibilities as what this place truly means. There's a lot of ambiguity with this area. The final location is near Irithyll Dungeon, as we can use the dragon pose from the Untended Graves to be transported into Arkdragon Peak. We already know that immortality via dragon form is not unheard of, as many people worship the stone dragon in Dark Souls 1. Osiris is assumed to be human before he became a dragon, and we can actually find some dragon stones which will turn us into a humanoid dragon similar to the one sitting next to us. So it's pretty safe to assume that this place was used to worship the ancient dragons, despite the fact that they're all dead now. But even though they're all dead, that doesn't mean the other flying types won't exist, as we get to challenge a wyvern shortly after arriving, which at first glance is a pretty cool fight, until you realize that the enemies on the walkways enemies are actually tougher than the boss itself. I
Correct.
can recognize that the team was most likely experimenting with some bold ideas for boss fights, and while it's definitely cool at first, it just feels a bit unnatural, if you will, as completely destroying its health bar in one plunge attack just felt off. Archdragon Peak not only has a questionable first boss, but also raises various questions that admittedly may leave people confused. Two characters have arrived at this location at certain points in time, which are Havel and Ornstein. We find Havel next to a downed dragon, and we find Ornstein's armor towards the end of the level. I can forgive Havel for being here since he's always had a hatred for dragons and Seath since Dark Souls 1, but that doesn't explain how he's alive. Well, Havel had a band of knights who followed him and more than likely wore the same armor as he did, so I don't think this is Havel, more just a knight of Havel. But while this is explained fairly easily, Ornstein is not. Ornstein has always had a complicated history within the series, as he was clearly present in Dark Souls 1, but then shows up again in Dark Souls 2 as the old Dragon Slayer, and then again in this game as the Dragon Slayer armor and in Archdragon Peak where we are now. Firstly, I've always been a firm believer in the fact that we kill Ornstein in Dark Souls 1. The old Dragon Slayer is simply someone who is trying to uphold Ornstein's legacy or is somehow connected to Ornstein's soul, since we know from Dark Souls 2 that the old Lord Souls can inhabit others' bodies.
It's not how. That's what he fixed it. He said that it could be one of his many knights that are just wearing his armor, which I feel like that makes the most sense. And even in a case like this where it's not Ornstein, but it's someone just wearing the armor, because it wouldn't make any sense if all three instances in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 is Ornstein. That would make no sense at all. None.
So it's possible Ornstein's soul inhibited Ornstein's soul, since we know from Ornstein's soul inhibited someone wearing his armor. It's also possible that the soul felt comfortable with this decision, given Ornstein's armor is pretty synonymous with his legacy. As for Dark Souls 3, we know that the Dragon Slayer armor is not Ornstein. It's simply just another Dragon Slayer, as the weapon and armor are completely different. But
I was gonna say it doesn't even look like him.
Archdragon Peak is unique. This is not only the same armor that Ornstein wore, but its item description talks about how he left the Anor Londo Cathedral to come here, but when did this happen? He couldn't have came here and then went back to the cathedral, as his armor is located here, and he couldn't have left after Dark Souls 1 because he died. So the only real explanation that makes any plausible sense is that Ornstein dies in Dark Souls 1. He then has his soul return like the previous Lord Soul wears, but decides to inhabit someone wearing his armor, or maybe even the armor itself, as it's familiar to the soul. We talked about in Dark Souls 2 how it seemed like the four Great Ones were connected to specific Lord Souls because of their feelings and emotions. We still don't know whether or not these Lord Souls connected with them because of these similar emotions, or if they gain these feelings from consuming the souls, but if this is true, then it would make sense that Ornstein is continuing to fight the same and has the same goals and ambitions across all the games. Regardless of how Ornstein is alive or how he even ended up here in the first place, we at least know why he was here, and that was because of the Nameless King. The Nameless King has actually been teased since Dark Souls 1, as he was—
That is one thing that's a little confusing. That's confusing. That is pretty confusing. I don't think we kill Ornstein or Smo, because remember how you also gain souls from Silver Knights and they were also illusions? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So you're saying maybe we don't kill Ornstein and Smo at all? Maybe all of it is just completely an illusion that Gwendolyn made? I'm not mad at the theory, because it doesn't make any sense for Ornstein to be in three completely different locations and there's no explanation. Like, they just said that he left the cathedral to come here, but when? When would he ever have time to do that?
the infamous firstborn son of Gwyn that was referenced in various items.
I got a theory about that, but once we get to that part in the Broken Sword run, once we get to an Orlando, and I am going to turn it into Dark Londo, I want to do some research. We're going to do some fucking research. Because, if I'm not mistaken, when you turn the area to Dark Londo, don't all the enemies disappear? Don't all of the enemies disappear? Yeah, see, they are. After you kill Gwendolyn, the Silver Knights are gone. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I made Dark Londo in the Miracle Run, everything disappeared. All of the enemies disappeared. They were all gone. And of course, that was after I killed Gwendolyn, so that's not a bad theory. Maybe Gwendolyn literally made a massive illusion of Anor Londo and all of the the knights, as well as Ornstein and Smough, as well as Guinevere, all of it is a pure illusion, just capturing what it was like in its prime. And then after you kill Gwendolyn, all of it's gone. Really, I never go back through on Orlando after doing the cheese to reach Gwendolyn. Yeah, they're all gone. They're all gone. The only thing that is alive is after you, of course, kill, because like once you get rid of the illusion of Guinevere and you go back out, those giant silver knights that are in the hall, they're not there. They're gone. They're completely gone. And then the only person that's there is that original Firekeeper in the brass armor. Then you kill Gwendolyn and all the enemies are gone. So I don't know if you have to kill Gwendolyn first and then the enemies are gone, but I do know they despawn. They're no longer there. So maybe we never fight the real Ornstein and Smough. Maybe at a time he really was at the cathedral, and then he left to come here because of the Nameless King and the King of the Storm, and this is where he died. As to how Dark Souls 2 Ornstein's is there, I have no fucking idea, but that's the best we got. The only one who is alive is the Firekeeper in Orlando. Yep. Can I say they don't come? That's not a bad theory. It's not a bad theory at all. It would make the most sense, because going based off of what the game tries to tell you, it doesn't make any sense at all.
In that game. From both 1 and 3, we can piece together that the Nameless King is the firstborn son of Gwyn and was a dragon slayer during the war with the Everlasting Dragons. But at some point, he would eventually cast all this away and ally himself with the dragons, and if you want to talk about presentation when it comes to boss fights, this one needs to be mentioned. Not only does the introduction of the boss feel intense as the Nameless King swoops in on a Storm Drake, but when we finish the Drake off, he literally kills it and takes the power for himself.
Now, normally I would say that this boss is one of my favorites, but the reason why it's not is because of his first phase. That first phase is ass. King of the Storm is an ass first phase, I'm sorry. I don't think it's Ornstein and DS2 because Ornstein was a lightning user. This one uses Dark Magic. Yeah, maybe it's not.
A pure gameplay perspective, he's easily the second best fight in the game. There's a feeling that occurs across the entire series when everything comes together. You've learned the moveset, understood the timings, and discovered the punishes. All that's required is to put it together. And when that clicks, it becomes one of the best fights in the game. His moves are punishing, have delays, and are even mixed together, as one combo might have 2 swings, but the next will be 3, or it will do away with the third swing and add a completely different move. The fight requires
I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna start
and
all the way
ability to
from
be
the
patient.
top of
Dodging too early will more often than not lead to your
And
death,
if there are
so
no
you have to be
enemies
on high
there,
alert for the whole
including
fight.
the Silver Knights,
Genuinely a great fight from top to bottom, with it only being surpassed by one being we have yet to cover. But before we move on to the DLC, I want to look back at the game so far. Dark Souls 3 set out to create a dying world that features places that have been ridden with disease and death, showing to the player that their inability to let go of what they know and continue this Age of Fire will only make things worse. Even a basic understanding of the lore will convey this, as you can see just how bad everything has gotten, from the fact that there's hundreds of dead bodies littered throughout each level, and people are becoming corrupted and infected with these diseases and plagues, causing them to either go hollow or turn into a massive black sludge. The demon race, a group of beings thought to be on top, are dying out, the gods have all been wiped out, and the Lords of Cinder, beings who have the ability to rule over anything they please due to their power, refuse to continue this Age of Fire. Aldrich wants to continue his own age, so admittedly that is a bit more selfish, but the other 3 have recognized that their sacrifice did or will amount to nothing. Linking the Flame never stopped the Abyss, it never stopped the Profane Flame, and it's never going to end the suffering that's occurred since Lordran. So if the first flame is supposed to be this symbol of peace and comfort, then what is actually so good about it? All of this has been illustrated to us throughout the story and is a testament to how genius the writing of Dark Souls 3 truly is. But now it's time to move on. Not just to a new age, as that will come later, but to a new world. A painted world, even.
Alright, I'm stopping here. I know, it's like, oh my god, we're about to get into the DLC. I know, but 2 things. One, my PC, like I said, Streamlabs flickering like that, that's gonna scare me. Because the last thing I want is for us to start this, and I'm watching it all the way through, and I look over to my right, and it says go live. Like, that's gonna piss me off. That'll piss me off, so we're gonna stop here. I need to do some serious I gotta reinstall my older drivers, and I think I figured out another issue too, and I'll talk about it once it's actually fixed. I'm gonna do some test streams and everything like that, but we will pick up everything tomorrow. Why is this not showing up? There we go. Yeah, but when it comes to farmables, Miyazaki usually likes leaving the 1 to 2% drop open just for you to not get it into the next run when you don't want it all the time. The amount of times I picked up Broken Straight Sword by accident, and then all of a sudden, I just randomly pick it up, kind of crazy. Maybe one silver night left in the Orlando. Maybe, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But for those that stuck around for the most broken, this is I'm gonna retitle the stream. It's not the most broken build yet. It's the most broken stream. I appreciate you guys for sticking with your boy. This was still a good time. You know, it was a little unfortunate that we weren't able to really get any progress done aside from picking up the weapon for the broken build. But nonetheless, we were able to have ourselves a good time. You know what I'm saying? Right, I could definitely be here tomorrow because my class is in at 2:50 p.m. tomorrow. Best stream ever, man. I appreciate you guys for being here with your boy. I'm gonna try to start around the same time because when it's 7:30 on my side, it's a lot cooler, so I'm not sweating nearly as much. When I do it at like 5 or 4 in the afternoon, your boy's gonna be. You've seen how sweaty I get because it's crazy. But I appreciate you guys. Love y'all, man. Y'all go ahead and get yourselves some rest. I know I'm about to go straight to sleep. I'll see you guys in the next stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow.